Chapter 272. And Hao's screams were so pitiful that the men around him did not know what to do. Mother F***, who is it? Come out if you dare. F***CKU, kill everyone here. I don't believe that this son of AB*TCH won't come out. Kill all the people around him? Hearing in Hao's words, everyone around him was shocked. They all turned around and prepared to leave. As the saying went, if it was none of their business, they would stay out of it. No one wanted to be implicated. Mother F***, it's just a corn kernel. Looking at the corn kernel on the ground, and Hao could not believe it. This was the thing that had broken his toe. Could it be a martial artist? And a powerful one at that? Although Hao was a playboy, he was no fool. Someone who could break his toe with the help of a corn kernel without making a sound knew how powerful the other party was. If it had been an ordinary person, they would have run away long ago, but Hao did not. That was because he had the An clan as his backing. Unless it was someone from the Long clan, there was no one he dared to mess with. Just as the men were about to slaughter everyone around, a young man walked out. He had white hair and was dressed in black. His face was cold, which was particularly eye-catching. There was no need to ask. And Hao already knew that the person who broke his toe was the young man in front of him. Who are you? It's none of your business. Who the F***ck are you? It's none of your business who the F***ck I am. And Hao had always thought that he was arrogant enough, but he did not expect that there would be someone even more arrogant than him. Looking at the fearless young man with a cold face, and Hao wanted to back off. Crimson Dragon City is really sad. Everyone has the right to kill a bastard like you. You're not from Crimson Dragon City? If I were from Crimson Dragon City, do you think you'd be alive now? Ha ha ha, Mother F***, I was almost scared to death by you. So you were just pretending, Mother F***. And Hao suddenly shouted excitedly. As long as the other party was not from Crimson Dragon City, it meant that he was not from the Long clan. Since he was not from the Long clan, he could continue to do whatever he wanted. Kill this man. The dozens of burly men were all acquired warriors, and the most powerful among them had already reached the 9th heaven of internal strength. However, these men hadn't even started to move when Longao had already started to move. According to Longao's current strength, dealing with a few Ho-Tian warriors was a simple matter. Like a gust of wind, before Hao could figure out what had happened, the dozen or so men all fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Their legs were all broken. Helping the tyrant, I'll cripple your legs. So powerful. Seeing the black-clothed, white-haired young man's display of might, everyone in the surroundings began to clap. Every one of them was very excited, and some were even shouting to kill Hao. In any case, they didn't have to do it themselves, and they could get rid of a scourge, so why not? You're from the An family? Although Hao didn't know why the other party asked that, he said confidently. Yes, white-haired monster. I'll tell you clearly that in Crimson Dragon City, the An family is the master. If you dare to touch a hair of mine, you'll have to bear the consequences. Looking at Hao's annoying face, Longao sneered and said, Don't mention a hair, I'll break your toes. I'd like to see how you'll make me bear the consequences. You. Looking at the broken fingers on the ground, Hao seemed to have just remembered that he was injured, and he immediately screamed. He was in so much pain that his face was covered in sweat, and his face was pale. If it wasn't for the fact that Hao was also a warrior, he would have died long ago. He gritted his teeth, and his teeth itched with hatred. No one in Crimson Dragon City had ever dared to do something like this. It was like trying to pull a tooth out of a tiger's mouth. However, Hao did not act rashly, because he knew that he was no match for the other party. As such, he said, White-haired monster, stand still if you dare. I'll get someone here, and I hope you won't kneel and beg for mercy. Get out of the way, get out of the way. At this time, 20 to 30 burly men in black rushed over angrily. Seeing Hao's broken fingers and their own people screaming on the ground, all the men in black were shocked. Someone actually dared to attack the An family in Crimson Dragon City? One must know that other than the Long family, the 4 major families were the most powerful in Crimson Dragon City, and the Yin family was one of them. Who the hell are you? How dare you hurt our young master? With a wave of his hand, a 2-meter-tall man with an extremely rough appearance came in front of Enhao and said, Young master Enhao, what happened? Seeing the man, Enhao's face lit up, and he immediately said, Instructor Li, this bastard is meddling in other people's business. He hurt my broken fingers and my men. You must avenge the family. Li Liantian, the outer sect instructor of the Yin family, was in charge of everything that was solved by force. Moreover, Li Liantian was a Xiantian martial artist, and his cultivation had reached the one-line sky realm. Although Li Liantian looked down on Enhao, as a member of the Yin family, he knew what his duty was. He knew what he should do and what he should not do. Enhao's fingers were broken, and if he did not do anything, he would not be able to answer to the family. Who are you? Aren't you a bit too arrogant? No matter what, this is Crimson Dragon City. Shaking his head in disdain, Longao said contemptuously, Scum and beast, everyone has the right to kill him. Today, this person must die. No matter who comes, this result cannot be changed. Chapter 273. Longao didn't take the other party seriously, and his face was full of contempt and disdain. Kill this man for me. Li Liantian waved his hand and stopped everyone because he could sense that the other party was a congenital martial artist. Of course, Li Liantian knew that such a young congenital martial artist was not simple, but things had come to this point, and he had no way to escape. Li Liantian's figure moved quickly. Before he arrived, his terrifying congenital aura had already pressed down fiercely. I want to see how you die. Li Liantian personally attacked, and Enhao was full of confidence. After all, Li Liantian was a one-line sky martial artist, and his strength was there. In fact, Li Liantian also had strong confidence in himself. In any case, the other party was too young. Even if he was a congenital martial artist, it was very good that he could reach the 100 dispersed sky. He couldn't reach the so-called one-line sky like himself. But in the next second, something happened that made Li Liantian feel like he had seen a ghost. The aura he released was directly suppressed by the other party's aura. Before Li Liantian could react, he was directly pressed to his knees. Crack, crack, his knees were broken, and the pain came in an instant. Li Liantian was stunned, but he still gritted his teeth and endured it without saying a word. He nodded with appreciation. This person's perseverance was not bad, but unfortunately, he followed the wrong master. Are you an evolutionary martial artist? An evolutionary martial artist? Longao smiled and didn't answer. If Li Liantian knew that the person in front of him was not a congenital martial artist, but an evolutionary martial artist at the peak of the Tao ancestor realm, what would Li Liantian do? What are you doing? White-haired freak, I'm warning you, I'm the young master of the Yin family. If you kill me, the Yin family will not let you go. He didn't know if Enhao's brain was flooded with water. If Longao was afraid of the Yin family, he wouldn't have attacked from the beginning. But Enhao didn't want to be here, and was doomed to a tragedy. I almost forgot that you are the young master of the Yin family. If I kill you, there will be a lot of trouble. Hearing the other party's words, Enhao breathed a long sigh of relief. In any case, he had to save his life first. As for this person, he must avenge himself. Enhao had thought that the other party wouldn't deal with him anymore. Longao's eyes turned cold. He directly kicked Enhao's crotch. Enhao screamed. Before he could figure out what had happened, he fainted. From now on, the girls don't have to worry about being humiliated by you anymore. In the end, Longao chose not to kill Enhao. No matter what, this place was not Scarlet Fire Town, not Star Cloud City, and definitely not Tianzhou. This was still Crimson Dragon City, Long Potion's territory. As one of the 4 great clans, it would be difficult for Long Potion to make things difficult for him if he were to make things difficult for them. However, Longao was very unhappy about letting Enhao go just like that. Therefore, after much consideration, Longao decided to directly cripple and house little brother so that he would not be able to abuse women in the future. Longao left, but the people in the surroundings did not leave. Each and every one of them looked at Hao, who had fainted on the ground with blood flowing out from his crotch. Not only did no one feel pity for him, instead, they felt refreshed in their hearts. It was just as the saying goes, good will be rewarded, and evil will be repaid. It was not that there was no retribution, it was just not time yet. And Hao could be considered unlucky. He could have met anyone, but he just had to meet a killing god who feared nothing. In Clan, one of the 4 great clans of Crimson Dragon City. In Crimson Dragon City, other than the Long clan, the Yin clan did not even care about the other 3 great clans. In an elegant bedroom of the Yin family, and Sun, the head of the Yin clan, looked at his son who was lying on the bed with a gloomy face. His fists were clenched tightly. The anger in his heart was like a volcano that could erupt at any time. Master! How is Hao? Master, the young master was kicked in the door of life. It seems that this person did it on purpose. Therefore, the young master's little brother is completely crippled. Not to mention carrying on the family line, he can't even have sex in the future. Pa and Sun slammed his palm on the table beside him, and the entire table instantly turned into dust. What the hell happened? Li Liantian, who had just been treated, was supported by someone as he walked in. He did not bow, but respectfully said, Family head, this person is a young man. He is around 18 or 19 years old, and his white hair is very conspicuous. This person's cultivation has already reached the evolution realm. There was no need for Li Liantian to say more. And Sun had already guessed that this person's strength was not simple. After all, to be able to defeat Li Liantian, it already showed how strong this person was. Did you not report your clan? Master, we did. This person did not care about the clan. Moreover, this person does not seem to be from Crimson Dragon City. And Sun's face became even more gloomy. Since Li Liantian had already reported his clan, even if the other party did not care about the monk, they would still have to respect the Buddha. Could it be that this person did not care about Crimson Dragon City at all? Go, investigate this person's background. Yes, master. And Sun was not a fool. Of course, he knew that a person who did not care about the clan's background was definitely not simple. Since this person was not from Crimson Dragon City, then it was very likely that he was a disciple of one of the other 9 major cities. If they provoked someone they should not provoke, then they would be in big trouble. In the end, Sun suppressed his impulse with reason, even if the anger in his heart had reached an extreme. 4 hours later. In Clan's main hall. How is the investigation going? Master, according to our investigation, this person is called Longao. He comes from the Long clan of Crimson Fire town of Star Cloud Kingdom in Tianzhou. It is said that he is a friend of Long Patian and is here as a guest. 9th level Long clan? And Sun of course knew about the classification of Long clan. 1st level Long clan dominated the continent, 2nd level Long clan and 3rd level Long clan supported them. 4th level Long clan was still okay, but Long clans below 5th level were nothing, let alone a small 9th level Long clan. However, Sun did not act rashly. No matter what, Longao was still Long Potion's friend. He knew very well what Long Patian represented. If he provoked the Long clan because of this, then it would be very troublesome. Was he going to let this person go just like that? His own son was crippled by this person, and even had no descendants. This kind of hatred was like the hatred of killing one's father. How could Sun just let it go like that? His face turned cold, and he said to himself, I don't believe that the Long clan will be estranged from the Yin clan because of a disciple of a 9th level Long clan. I will go find Long Banao and see what the Long clan will do. The news of Hao being crippled spread across the entire Crimson Dragon City in an instant. Anyone who heard the news was more surprised than shocked. At least the scourge of Crimson Dragon City was removed. In the future, the girls would not have to be afraid of being defiled by this bastard. Chapter 274. In a secluded pavilion in the backyard of the Long family. Brethren, what business do you have with me today? Long Bu obviously didn't know what had happened between Longao and Anhao. After all, Long Bu was already overjoyed that Long Patian had reached the top of the stairway to heaven. He didn't have the time to care about anything else. Since things had already progressed to this point, Anhao didn't hesitate, and told him everything that had happened. Long Bu's face didn't look too good after listening to Anhao. Long Bu knew clearly what Anhao was like, but in order to win over the An family, the Long family had turned a blind eye and never interfered. Long Bu cursed Longao in his heart. He had only just arrived in Crimson Dragon City, but he had already caused so much trouble for himself. Long Bu knew clearly what An Sun was thinking, but because of his family's strength and Potion's face, An Sun didn't dare to act rashly. On one side was the An family, and on the other side was Longao. One was a good helper for the Long family, one of the 4 great families of Crimson Dragon City. The other was just a rank 9 disciple of the Long family. Brethren, the Long family won't interfere in this matter. An Sun's eyes lit up. As an old fox, how could he not understand the hidden meaning in Long Bu's words? He hurriedly said, "Thank you, Brother Long. I will definitely reward you heavily later." Long Bu waved his hand and refused. "No need. Longao is Potion's friend. If I were to act against Longao, I wouldn't be able to explain it to Patian. So you can do as you see fit. Brother Long, what if Patian pursues this matter?" Long Patian was the undisputed super genius of the Long family. He was the most likely person to enter the dragon rankings in the past 100 years. One could imagine his status in the Long family. Because of this, An Sun didn't dare act rashly. If Long Patian came looking for trouble, what would happen to his family? There was no doubt that Long Bu and the Long family would definitely choose Long Patian over the An family, and him if they had to choose. How could Long Bu not know about An Sun's worries? He nodded and said, "I'll transfer Patian away in a bit. I'll probably return tomorrow morning. I'll give you 1 day and 1 night. I think you should be able to deal with Longao." No problem. He was just a mere evolutionary level martial artist. With his family's strength, wanting to kill Longao was simply a matter of minutes. As for Patian, you can rest assured that he won't cause any trouble for your clan. Thank you, Brother Long. Now that things had come to this point, if he continued to hesitate, then he would be a father in vain. As Long Bu watched An Sun leave, he muttered to himself, "An insignificant rank 9 Long clan wants to climb the heavens. How reckless!" Then, Long Bu found Long Patian and told him some things. He couldn't even tell Longao before Long Patian left Crimson Dragon City. According to the time, he would be back tomorrow morning at the earliest. However, Long Patian wasn't worried at all. After all, Longao was now in the Long family. How could anything happen to Longao? Also, with Longao's current strength, unless he met a nihility martial artist, Longao didn't know anything about Long Bu and An Sun's shamelessness. After beating up An Sun, Longao didn't immediately return to the Long family. Instead, he wandered around the market. First, he went to take a look at the Dan Guild. Then, he ate some food. At dusk, Longao returned to the Long family. Arriving at Longao's residence, Longao didn't cultivate. Instead, he sat quietly in the pavilion and watched the sun set. He suddenly thought of his family in Crimson Fire Town in Tianzhou, as well as Aoshue from the Ghost King sect and Yu Yin whose whereabouts were unknown. "It smells so good." At this time, Longao suddenly smelled a fragrance. It was very comfortable and gave him a relaxed feeling. With curiosity, Longao stood up and walked towards the direction of the fragrance. No one dared to enter Long Potion's residence. Even if it was a servant who delivered food, there would be a servant who would come at a fixed time. Long Patian was the super genius of the Long family. Everyone had to treat him as the center. It was precisely because of this that wherever Longao passed, no one came out to stop him. Unknowingly, Longao arrived in front of a rockery. The huge rockery was surrounded by water on all sides and was magnificent. Purple Chi from the east. Longao was very surprised. He didn't expect that the Long family also had Purple Chi from the east. Longao wasn't unfamiliar with Purple Chi from the east, because when he was on the 99 steps, he relied on Purple Chi from the east to quickly improve his cultivation. Longao didn't want to absorb Purple Chi from the east. No matter what, this was Long Potion's home. If he absorbed the Purple Chi from the east, wouldn't it be very unkind? Longao just wanted to see what was inside the rockery that could emit Purple Chi from the east. Stepping into the rockery, the deeper he went, the stronger the Purple Chi from the east became. Inside the rockery, it was a huge cave. Drip, 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 the sound of water droplets continuously rose and fell. In the middle of the cave, there was a huge pool. Longao discovered that the Purple Chi from the east was emitted from the pool. It's so comfortable. In another day, I will be able to absorb all the Purple Chi from the east and break through to the transformation realm. At this time, a peerless beauty appeared in the pool. She wasn't wearing any clothes. Longao was dumbfounded. Because Longao never thought that there would be someone bathing here. What kind of scene was this? Ah! Damn pervert, go die! When he turned around, the beauty had already put on her clothes. Before she arrived, a terrifying sword light shot out, scaring Longao so much that he turned and ran. According to the comparison of their strengths, Long Jing was not Longao's opponent at all. But no matter what, he had accidentally looked at her body. This kind of thing, no matter which woman encountered it, would be so excited. Damn pervert, stop right there. I'd be an idiot if I stopped. Longao didn't explain at all because he knew that even if he explained to the heavens, she wouldn't believe him. The best thing to do was to find Long Patian and see who this person was and whether there was a way to resolve this. Longao was very fast, but Long Jing wasn't slow either. The two of them shot out of the cave one after the other. No matter what Longao did, Long Jing called him damn pervert from behind, making Longao quite depressed. Adhering to the principle of a good man doesn't fight with a woman, Longao directly rushed back to Long Potion's residence. Would this woman chase after him? Just when Longao thought that this woman wouldn't dare to chase after him, the words damn pervert came again. Then, the cold sword light pierced through the air and fiercely shot out. Chapter 275. Bastard, I'm going to tear you to pieces today. Long Jing was a higher heaven uniting realm warrior and was very strong. Wherever her sword passed, there would be sword scars. Longao dodged left and right, avoiding a direct confrontation with Long Jing. Long Jing was furious, but she couldn't do anything except scold him. Long Jing's shout startled everyone. Not long after, Long Potion's residence was surrounded by disciples of the Long family. Under normal circumstances, the disciples of the Long family wouldn't dare to come here. But now, Long Patian wasn't here, and Long Jing was making a big commotion. Everyone was curious and came to see what was going on. There was no exception. Long Bu also came and saw Long Jing chasing Longao with her sword. He was very curious, but he still said angrily, "Jinger, stop." Long Jing was very clear in her heart that with her strength, it was simply impossible to kill the other party. She stomped her foot and threw away the sword in her hand. Long Jing looked like a volcano erupting as she stared at Longao. "Jinger, what happened? Father, tell me first, who is this bastard?" Bastard? Hearing Long Jing calling Longao a stinking hooligan, everyone was extremely curious. They didn't know what Longao had done to make Long Jing so furious. She actually kept calling him a stinking hooligan. "He's your brother's friend, Longao, a disciple of the Long family in Scarlet Fire Town." Brother? Longao was stunned. He didn't expect the girl in front of him to be Long Potion's sister. Didn't that mean she was Long Bu's daughter? Longao knew that he was in big trouble. "Father, this bastard came in when I was absorbing the Purple Chi from the east. I'm going to kill him." Hearing these words, Long Bu's face instantly became gloomy. The surrounding crowd also sucked in a breath of cold air. If they were not afraid of Longao's strength, they believed that many people would have gone up to beat Longao up. Longao, is this true? I didn't do it on purpose. Humph, you didn't do it on purpose? You obviously did it on purpose, you stinking hooligan. Waving his hand, Longbu didn't give Longao any chance to explain. His voice was extremely cold as he said, "Seeing that you and Patian are friends, I won't kill you. Dig out your eyes and you can leave." It had to be said that Longbu was doing this on purpose. After all, Longao's status was there. Even if he didn't give face to the monk, he had to give face to the Buddha. However, Longbu still did this. Gouging out his own eyes, this was Longbu's attitude. "Father! Longao, you can choose not to, but I can only kill you." Until now, Long Patian still hadn't appeared. Longao seemed to have realized that something was wrong. Could it be that Long Patian had been sent away? Longao believed that if Long Patian was in the Long family, he would definitely stand up and resolve this matter. He didn't believe that Long Patian would go against a friend who could go through life and death with him. "I want to see Big Brother Patian." "No, from now on, you have nothing to do with Patian anymore." Hearing this, Longao basically understood the situation. In the end, Longbu still looked down on him and didn't want him to continue being friends with Long Patian. "Dig out your eyes." Seeing that Longao was ignoring him and was about to turn and leave, Longbu's face instantly turned cold. A powerful aura fiercely pressed down, covering the sky like a rolling river. Venerable. Longao's heart sank. However, if it was a competition of aura, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone. In terms of aura alone, Longao believed that even if a venerable came, he wouldn't be afraid. First, he condensed his own aura of heaven and earth, then stepped on the 99 steps. Under the pressure of the terrifying aura, the aura of heaven and earth solidified. There was no need to release the aura of heaven and earth. Longao activated the aura of heaven and earth in his body. Therefore, no matter how Longbu exerted his aura, Longao acted as if he was fine. Longbu and the others were dumbfounded. Looking at the disappearing figure, Longbu's face turned extremely gloomy. To think that he, a venerable, couldn't make this person stay. If this matter spread out, where would his face go? Where would the Long family's face go? If it was a normal situation, Longbu wouldn't let this matter go so easily. However, no matter what, his son was there. If Patian knew about this, there would be trouble. In the end, Long Patian was the hope of the Long family. Even he didn't dare to provoke his son. If Patian left the Long family in anger, he could only cry. Leaving the Long family. Longao didn't feel any anger because he knew that this was the reality. If he wanted to survive and not be bullied, then there was only one way, and that was to constantly become stronger. Strength. In the end, everything depended on strength. If he was a venerable or a supreme master now, even if he told Longbu that he had reached the top of the 99 steps of heaven, would Longbu still act like this? Longao didn't leave Red Dragon City. No matter how the Long family and Longbu treated him, Long Patian was always his friend. Even if he was going to leave, he had to tell his friend. This was the basic courtesy and respect. It was already dark. Longao was going to find a restaurant to stay in. After saying goodbye to Long Patian, he got up and left Red Dragon City to return to his family. However, at this moment, "Longao, do you still recognize me?" Looking at Hao, who was limping out, Longao smiled and said, "No, little brother. Do you feel that you are actually like a human? And how God is watching what you do. Don't go too far. I'll let you go this time." Before Longao finished speaking, a sharp sword had been shot in an instant. If he hadn't dodged quickly, he would have been killed by the sword. The peak of the Tao ancestor. Longao had already sensed the strength of the other party. There was no need to ask at all. He already knew who it was. It seemed that Hao was not convinced and specially found someone to deal with him. As expected, Sun suddenly appeared. The father and son stood together. Sun said, "You shouldn't have provoked the family. Longao, now that Long Potian is not in Red Dragon City, the Long family won't interfere. I'd like to see who can help you. A conspiracy. Longao already knew that this was a conspiracy of the Long family and the Yin family. They wanted nothing more than to deal with him and send Long Potian away. No wonder Long Potian didn't appear. You won't have a chance this time. Ha ha ha, you? With his father by his side, and How was fearless and didn't take the other party seriously at all. And How knew his father's strength very well. It was more than enough to deal with a small Longao. Chapter 276. And Sun was a peak Tao ancestor. Longao, I won't kill you. I'll just let my son kick your crotch and let you have a taste of having no descendants. Looking at Hao, who couldn't even stand steadily, Longao suddenly thought of the sunflower scripture. According to the sunflower scripture, wouldn't Hao be able to cultivate it now? Seeing Longao ignoring them, whether it was Hao or Sun, both of them were immediately enraged. And Sun didn't continue to talk nonsense. He took a big step forward and rushed out. And Sun was confident that he could kill this person in 3 moves. Longao didn't move and stood quietly in place. Longao wanted to die. Seeing Longao motionless and ready to die, Hao was very curious. However, when Sun was less than 20 centimeters away from Longao backhanded with a blade. If Sun hadn't dodged in time, this blade would have taken his life. Despicable. Longao didn't think of himself as despicable. As the saying goes, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Despicableness would always be reserved for the loser. This time, Longao didn't continue to sit and wait for death. He also rushed out. However, Sun didn't have any chance to breathe. Blade after blade, like a storm. This time, not only Sun, but even Hao, who was full of confidence, was deeply shocked. He thought that his father would be able to kick the opponent's crotch in 3 moves. But now, not only did his father not gain the upper hand, but he was also pushed back step by step. There were several times when his father was almost killed by Longao's blade. Longao and Sun were both peak Tao ancestor martial artists. Not to mention strength, just momentum alone, Longao could throw Sun by several streets. However, Longao didn't use the momentum of heaven and earth. Longao held the blood-drinking wild blade and used the blood-drinking 8 styles. Under the crazy attacks, Sun was gradually unable to resist. If this situation continued, Sun would undoubtedly die. If it was before dusk, Longao might not have killed Sun. After all, he had to give face to Long Potian. But now, the situation was completely different. The Long family and the Yin family clearly wanted him dead. If he showed mercy, the one who would be killed in the end would be him. Thinking of this, Longao went all out and directly hacked down with his saber. According to Longao's current strength, the power of this saber was enough to kill any warrior at the peak of the Tao ancestor realm, including Sun. Sun was cut into 2. At the moment of his death, Sun couldn't figure out why he had been killed. Looking at the 2 halves of the corpse on the ground, Hao was completely dumbfounded. Suddenly, Hao screamed as if he had seen a ghost. He turned around and prepared to leave. Not to mention that Hao was limping. Even if he was a good person, he would not be able to escape from Longao's hands. Since things had come to this point, Longao did not show any mercy. He then slashed out a saber light, killing Hao, who was about to escape. The father and son of the Yin family probably did not expect that they would be killed by each other. Otherwise, the father and son of the Yin family would definitely not have come. Longao, you are really arrogant. You openly killed the patriarch of the Yin family in my Crimson Dragon City. Do you have any respect for my Long family? Seeing the sudden appearance of Long Bu and the other 2, Longao was not surprised at all. Because when he was fighting Sun just now, he had already sensed 3 powerful auras enveloping him. Because of this, Longao was even more curious. Why did Long Bu and the other 2 not help the father and son of the Yin family, but watch him kill the father and son of the Yin family? Long Bu and the two venerable elders of the Long family stood side by side. The three auras overlapped and enveloped Longao. Longao knew that as long as he made a move, the three of them would definitely attack at the first moment. You arranged all of this, didn't you? Since things had already reached this point, Long Bu did not continue to pretend. In his opinion, the young man before him was no different from a dead man. He was just telling a dead man. That's right. I arranged all of this. You and the Yin family must die. The Long family's position is unshakable, no matter who it is. Longao really could not understand. With the Yin family's strength, it was impossible for them to shake the Long family's position in Crimson Dragon City. They could even better assist the Long family. If that was the case, why would the Long family want to deal with the Yin family? Longao, I have to admit that your talent is not bad. If you can continue to grow, your future will be limitless. Unfortunately, you no longer have the chance. Longao was constantly on guard. After all, the three people before him were all genuine venerables. Even if the three of them worked together, he would not be a match for any one of them. Father, let Brother Long go. Just as the battle was about to break out, Long Potion's figure suddenly appeared. Seeing his son, Long Bu's face immediately turned ugly. He said in a deep voice, Have you done what I asked you to do? Father, I know very well what you mean. I won't use the two venerables, but I hope you won't hurt my friends. Otherwise, I'll have to leave the family. Long Bu was shocked. Even if Long Bu had to give up the entire Long family, he would not give up on his son. What a joke. He and the Long family still needed to rely on Patian to soar. How could he give up such an opportunity? However, Long Bu did not want to let Long Ao go. Brother Long, I've let you down. Smiling, Long Ao did not mind and said, No matter what happens between me and the Long family, you'll always be my big brother, Long Ao. All right, Brother Long, let's set a year as the limit. After a year, you and I will go after the dragon rankings together. How about that? Long Ao naturally would not refuse. He nodded and said, All right, we'll set a year as the limit. You and I will go after the dragon rankings together. Brother Long, I won't see you off. Long Ao did not continue to say anything because he knew that Long Patian was in a difficult position in front of him and his family. Therefore, the only way was to leave by himself. He believed that with Long Patian, the Long family would not do anything to him. Father, I hope you won't do anything to Brother Long, otherwise I'll do what I say. Patian. I'm a little tired. Don't let anyone disturb me in this year. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion. Long Patian turned and left. It seemed that the matter of his family dealing with Long Ao had a great impact on him. After leaving Crimson Dragon City, Long Ao did not plan to return to the Crimson Sky World. Instead, he prepared to go back to Crimson Fire Town in Tianzhou. After leaving for so long, it was time to go back and take a look. Long Ao had decided that when he returned to his family, he would start cultivating in seclusion. Within a year, he had to break through the Void Disaster Realm. The dragon rank was the next target he would chase after. Long Ao knew that if he wanted to make his family stronger, it was not enough to rely on his own efforts. The only shortcut was the dragon rankings. If his family could have a few dragon warriors, he believed that the situation would change greatly. Chapter 277. The Long family did not pursue the matter of Long Ao killing the Yin family's father and son, but the Yin family was unwilling to let it go. As the leader of the four major families in Crimson Dragon City, the Yin family's strength was obvious. Everyone knew that among the four great clans, only the Yin clan had an ancestor who was a venerable one. It was because of this that the Yin clan's ancestor immediately left Crimson Dragon City when he learned that Long Ao had killed Yin Hao and Yin Sun. After leaving Crimson Dragon City, Long Ao returned to Tianzhou while cultivating and admiring the scenery around him. His body moved with the wind and dodged the murderous sword light. He said helplessly, Long Jing, I've already said that I didn't enter the fake mountain on purpose. Why do you have to force me? Looking at the girl who appeared behind him, Longao sighed helplessly in his heart. He had unintentionally entered the fake mountain and saw Long Jing bathing. It was an unintentional act, but Long Jing did not let it go and chased after him all the way, causing him to be on guard at all times. If she were an enemy, Longao would have killed her long ago without saying anything. However, Long Jing's identity was a little special. No matter what, she was still Long Potion's sister. Humph, you scoundrel! As long as I can't kill you in this life, I swear I won't stop. Hearing that, Longao felt helpless. He did not care about Long Jing and started to roast a few wild animals. Soon, the smell of meat spread out. Longao and Long Jing were more than 20 meters apart, and neither of them spoke. Longao was roasting the wild game, while Long Jing was quietly looking at the sharp sword in her hand. Should she flick it a few times? It's done! It smells so good! Looking at Long Jing, who was not far away, Longao smiled and said, Do you want to eat? Get lost, you scoundrel! Longao had a good impression of this girl because he realized that other than her being a little unruly, she was a good girl overall. If you want to kill me, you need to have the strength. If you don't eat, when you faint from hunger, hee. Longao chuckled. The meaning behind his words was simple. Whether it was on purpose or not, Longao chose to take the smaller paths instead of the main ones after leaving Crimson Dragon City. As such, there were no restaurants or inns around. Long Jing did not want to hunt for wild animals, so she did not eat for 2 whole days. Martial artists were also humans. Martial artists also needed to eat. If they didn't eat, they would slowly weaken and eventually die. Long Jing was well aware of this. Humph! Standing up, Long Jing walked to Longao's side and snorted. I owe you a drumstick. I will return it to you later. Longao, don't think that a drumstick can save your life. Like I said before, I can kill you at any time. She didn't call him a hooligan. This was probably the so-called the shortest way to eat someone. Smiling helplessly, Longao realized that Long Jing was simply too naive, so naive that it was a little cute. As a Khanate Convergence Realm warrior, she actually couldn't even find food. Interesting. Longao didn't care about Long Jing and started eating alone. Moonlit werewolf. The dark wilderness was filled with wolf howls. It was funny. As a Khanate Convergence Realm warrior, Long Jing was actually afraid of such an environment. Longao was really annoyed. Standing on a huge rock and looking at the endless void in front of him, Longao suddenly said, You've been following me for 3 days. Even if you don't find it annoying, I do. Please come out. Not bad. To be able to sense my aura, your talent is indeed not bad. At this time, an old man in blue slowly walked out. His face was wrinkled, and he had small eyes and a big nose. He looked very ugly. However, Longao did not underestimate him at all. This was because he could clearly sense that the old man in blue in front of him was a powerful venerable. You're from the Yin family? Infome. As expected, but Longao was not surprised at all. After all, he had killed the Yin family's father and son. If the Yin family could take this lying down, how could they survive in Crimson Dragon City in the future? Do you want to fight or not? Hearing the other party's words, Enfeng seemed a little surprised. He said with a smile, No matter how wrong and how is, he's still a disciple of the Yin family. Moreover, you killed Yin Sun. We have to take revenge. Then let's fight. It was simple and clear. Longao clearly knew that this battle could not be avoided. Since that was the case, why was there a need to be so wishy-washy and talk so much nonsense? Before the battle, I really want to know how you got the blood-sucking saber in your hand? Hearing Enfeng mention the blood-sucking saber, Longao was shocked. Ever since he obtained the blood-sucking saber, no one had recognized it. It was precisely because of this that he did not know how Enfeng knew about the blood-sucking saber. Since the other party already knew, Longao did not hide anything. He said, I obtained it by accident. How did you know about the blood-sucking saber? With a face full of yearning and pride, Enfeng said with emotion. How could I not know? The blood-sucking saber itself belongs to my family. Bullshasters T. Humph, Longao, let me tell you. The blood-sucking saber in your hand belonged to the ancestor of the family back then. With this blood-sucking saber, the ancestor was invincible in the world. However, in an accident, the ancestor unfortunately fell, and even the blood-sucking saber was lost. His whereabouts are still unknown. I didn't expect that the blood-sucking saber would be in your hands. Hearing what Enfong said and looking at the expression on his face, Longao knew that Enfong was not lying. Could it be that the blood-sucking saber really belonged to the family? Longao, as long as you hand over the blood-sucking saber, I can let you live. Just cut off one of your arms. How about that? Ha ha ha, let me live, cut off one of your arms. Enfong, let me tell you clearly, regardless of whether the blood-sucking saber belongs to your family or not, now that the blood-sucking saber is in my hands, it belongs to me, Longao. If you want to take it back, you have to rely on your own ability. Without waiting for Enfong to speak, Longao continued. Do you think that you're amazing just because you're a venerable? Let me tell you clearly, a venerable like you is not even comparable to a chicken leg in my eyes. Hearing Longao's words, Longjing, who was not far away, burst into laughter. After laughing, she realized that she and Longao were enemies, so she forcibly endured it. Longao, I have to admit that you're really arrogant. However, the strength of a venerable is not something that a Tao ancestor like you can imagine. I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the blood-sucking saber and cut off one of your arms, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, Longao said with disgust. No, otherwise I won't cut off one of my arms, and I won't hand over the blood-sucking saber. Bite me. The repeated provocation was simply unbearable. The prostitutes could endure it, but the brothel couldn't. Chapter 278. Longao and Enfong looked at each other angrily. I'll let you see how big the gap is between a Tao ancestor and a venerable. Enfeng's body moved. Before he arrived, his terrifying aura had already arrived. However, Enfong left quickly and returned even faster. His face was filled with shock and disbelief. Aura of heaven and earth? Longao was not afraid of Enfeng's aura at all. What a joke. Unless he encountered the same aura of heaven and earth, the aura of heaven and earth was the strongest. At least you have some eyesight. Longao, how did you do it? Longao certainly knew what Enfong meant. He sneered and said, What does it have to do with you how I condensed the aura of heaven and earth? You're really a busybody. Do you have nothing better to do? Enfeng's face became colder and colder. He found it hard to believe that a puny Tao ancestor could condense the aura of heaven and earth. Enfong was not a fool. Of course, he knew what it meant for a Tao ancestor to condense the aura of heaven and earth. Thinking that this kid would definitely become a super expert in the future, Enfong had already decided that no matter what, he would kill this person and get rid of future troubles. Longao, if your cultivation can break through the void realm, I won't be your opponent. But now, accept your fate. With that, Enfeng's body moved again. This time, Enfong obviously did not use the aura of heaven and earth. Instead, he directly turned his palms into fists and punched at Longao with both fists. Longao did not dare to be careless. He also punched out with both fists. He also wanted to see what the result would be if his dragon god arm and tiger god arm clashed with the venerable. The four fists collided and the fist force scattered. Longao was directly sent flying. His entire body spun 3 times in the air before barely landing on the ground. This was also because Longao had dissipated the force in time. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. What a terrifying fist force. Longao already knew that with his current realm, the gap between them was too big. This was the gap between a Tao ancestor and a venerable. The Xiantian realm and the Metamorphosis realm both required one to possess spiritual energy. Once one's cultivation base broke through to the Nihility realm, it would attract a tribulation. Once the tribulation was passed, the spiritual energy in one's body would transform into spiritual energy. It could be said that there was a fundamental difference between spiritual force and spiritual source. Although the divine dragon arm and the hell tiger arm were powerful, Longao was still a warrior at the peak of the Tao ancestor realm. What he had was spiritual power, not spiritual essence. Longao, now you know that there is no comparison between a Tao ancestor and a venerable. Hand over the blood-sucking manic saber and I can let you die quickly. And Feng, this person must be killed by me. Seeing Long Jing standing in front of him without moving, and Feng's expression changed. He said in a deep voice, Long Jing, don't mess around. Move aside. And Feng did not dare to go against the young lady of the Dragon Clan. After all, the Dragon Clan was the overlord of Crimson Dragon City, and their strength was far above the An Clan. In other words, as long as the Dragon Clan was willing, destroying the An Clan would be a matter of minutes. No, I have to kill him with my own hands. His expression was as ugly as it could be. In the end, An Feng had no choice but to nod and agree. Okay, I'll leave this person to you. Just when An Feng was not paying attention, Long Jing suddenly took out a small ball from her arms and threw it directly at An Feng. Let's go. Longao did not dare to hesitate in the slightest. The two of them left with their fastest speed. An Feng was shocked. He thought that Long Jing would throw something, but at first glance, it was just an ordinary glass ball. An Feng did not immediately chase after them. He stood in place with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. He said to himself, Let's see how you can escape from my hands. Longao and Long Jing ran all the way. They did not know how long they ran before they stopped. Looking around and seeing that An Feng did not chase after them, Longao said while panting, Thank you so much this time. Longao, don't think that I won't kill you just because I saved you this time. This is just to return the favor of your chicken leg. From now on, if there's a chance, I will still kill you without hesitation. Looking at Long Jing who turned and left, Longao was completely dumbfounded. He stood there in a daze. Suddenly, Longao laughed. Long Jing was really an incomparably simple girl. She clearly distinguished between gratitude and grudges. Even if it was a chicken leg, she would still return it to you. Helplessly shrugging, Longao truly witnessed the strength of a venerable. It was very terrifying. No matter how powerful the divine dragon arm and the underworld tiger arm were, spiritual energy and spiritual source were an insurmountable gap. Longao sat on the ground and rested for a while. He felt much better. Just now, when he exchanged a punch with An Feng, if it wasn't for the fact that the divine dragon arm and the underworld tiger arm were strong enough to take away half of the power, he believed that just one punch would be enough to take his life. Inside the dragon seal space. Long Fu, is there any way for me to raise my cultivation to the Nihility 100 Calamity realm as quickly as possible? Longao knew very well that unless his cultivation could break through the void disaster realm and transform the spiritual energy in his body into spiritual source, he would be able to kill An Feng with the help of the divine dragon arm and the underworld tiger arm. Otherwise, he would only be slaughtered. Master, no, I have used up all the spiritual stones. What's more, no one can help you break through the void disaster realm at the peak of the Tao ancestor realm. Not even the desolate saint body. Why is that? Didn't you say that my desolate saint body can automatically advance as long as it absorbs enough power? That's right, but Master, what I want to tell you is that the situation is completely different when a peak of the Tao ancestor realm breaks through the void disaster realm. What's the difference? The thunder tribulation you triggered back then was similar to the thunder tribulation of an ordinary warrior. But once your cultivation breaks through the void realm, you will trigger the most powerful of the 100 tribulations. Even if the desolate saint body absorbs enough power, you can only rely on yourself to sense the 100 tribulations. No one can replace you, not even me. So that's how it is. He was a little disappointed. After all, with his current strength, it was impossible for him to be a match for a venerable. Master, if you want to kill a venerable, you don't need to rush to break through to the void disaster realm. Other methods are also feasible. Overjoyed, Longao couldn't wait to ask, Long Fu, what methods? Master, I've already calculated that there will be lightning and thunder tonight. When the time comes, follow my instructions and set up everything. Once this person falls into the trap, Master, you can draw upon the power of heaven and earth to strike him to death. Can I trigger the power of heaven and earth? Although Longao was very confident in himself, he knew his own limits. If he wanted to trigger the lightning of heaven and earth, it would only be a dream. Master, you can't do it alone. I will help you when the time comes. You won't have any sequelae, will you? Longao didn't want to let Long Fu take the risk. If he fell into a deep sleep for hundreds of years, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Chapter 279. Master, don't worry. I've already calculated everything. When the time comes, I just need to use the 12 corpse python slaves and I can escape. If it was before, Longao would definitely be reluctant to use the 12 corpse python slaves. No matter what, the 12 corpse python slaves were equivalent to 12 earthly sovereign realm martial artists. Longao did not hesitate at all. Since Infeng was unwilling to give up, he could only give him a taste of his own medicine. According to Long Fu's instructions, Longao first found the peak of a mountain and took out all the 100 beast cores he had obtained before. Then, he drew a pattern on the ground. After finishing the drawing, Longao placed the 100 beast cores in order, and then summoned the 12 giant python corpse slaves. What are you doing? Longjing, who was standing not far away, saw that Longao had been busy. She was very puzzled. In the end, she could not resist her curiosity and asked, There will be lightning and thunder later. I'm going to use the power of lightning to destroy Infeng. Is there something wrong with your head? Longjing rolled her eyes at Longao. She had seen arrogant people before, but she had never seen such an arrogant person. He was simply arrogant to the extreme. Using the power of lightning was easy to say, but how many people could do it? Regardless of whether others believed it or not, Longjing would definitely not believe it. Let's wait and see. Longjing, find a place to hide first and wait for the show. Longjing seemed to want to say something, but when she saw Longao's confident face, she finally held it in. According to Longao's instructions, Longjing really found a place to hide. After setting it up for 2 hours, Longao barely managed to finish it. Master, there are still 2 hours before the lightning and thunder begin. It's time to start. Nodding, Longao came to the edge of the cliff. Looking at the endless dark void, he suddenly shouted, Old man Infeng, come if you can. I'll wait for you here. 10 minutes later. Infeng really came looking for him. He didn't care about the messy patterns on the ground at all. Because in Infeng's heart, he was full of confidence. Unless Longao could break through the void supremacy's position, he wouldn't be his opponent. Longao, I can give you a chance. I'd like to see how you can escape from me. Looking at Infeng's confident face, Longao smiled and said, Infeng, I'll make a bet with you. Do you dare? Bet? Looking at Longao with great interest, the corner of Infeng's mouth slightly carried contempt as he said, Tell me about it. You and I will fight within these patterns. If you can defeat me within 10 moves, not only will I hand over the blood-sucking wild saber, I will also give you 2 treasures, the God-sealing pearl and the God-punishing mirror. Without waiting for Infeng to ask, Longao continued, The God-sealing pearl can lock the space around the opponent. As for the God-killing mirror, it can change the flow of time, making time go forward or backward by 3 seconds. Longao did not continue, because he knew that Infeng must know the power of the God-sealing pearl and the God-killing mirror. Sure enough. Hearing the power of the God-killing mirror and the God-sealing pearl, Infeng was very surprised. His face was instantly filled with greed. He said, Okay, I'd like to see how you can withstand 10 moves of mine. What a joke! A Dao ancestor martial artist wanting to challenge a venerable was simply unheard of. In the Tianwu continent, the division of martial artists' realms was very strict. Generally, it was almost impossible to challenge someone of a higher realm. Not to mention, a Tao ancestor martial artist challenging a venerable was equivalent to a transformation martial artist challenging a nihility martial artist. Longao did not say any more nonsense. He took 10 steps back and entered the pattern. And Feng was also not afraid. He took a step forward and entered the pattern. The two faced each other, about 3 meters apart. Longao, I'm very curious. What do you mean by drawing these patterns? The two of them were surrounded by countless strange patterns. It was impossible to see what was drawn. In fact, Feng was still very wary of the other party. No matter what, Longao was so confident, could it be that he really had something to rely on? Why are you talking so much nonsense? You and I will fight. Within 10 moves, if you win, I will give you the blood-sucking wild saber, God-sealing pearl, and God-killing mirror. If you lose, just leave your life. The more confident Longao was, the more uneasy Feng felt. However, things had already reached this point. It was impossible to retreat. Longao and Feng did not immediately make a move. Longao was waiting for the lightning to strike, but Feng was afraid and did not want to make the first move. He wanted to see what kind of trick Longao was playing. Just as Feng was about to make a move, Longao suddenly took out the God-sealing pearl and God-killing mirror. He said, "You can try the power of the God-killing mirror and God-sealing pearl first." As he spoke, Feng suddenly felt the space around him stop flowing. Then, his entire body was locked. Was this the power of the God-sealing pearl? Feng was a venerable. With Longao's current strength, it was very difficult to lock onto him for even a second. Even so, Feng had truly witnessed the power of the God-sealing pearl. Longao sneered in his heart. He then activated the God-killing mirror. The front and back faces represented yin and yang. The yang side could make time go forward for 3 seconds, and the yin side could reverse it for 3 seconds. Longao used 2 changes of time at the same time. This time, Feng was pleasantly surprised to the extreme because such a powerful treasure was something he had never seen or even heard of before. Quite satisfied, Feng nodded and said with a smile, "I really didn't expect you to have such a treasure on you. Longao, seeing that you know what's good for you, I'll let you die a quick death later." Longao didn't say anything. Calculating the time, lightning and thunder were about to arrive. When the time came, he wouldn't even have a chance to cry. Longao didn't doubt Long Fu's words at all. Sure enough, at this time, the moon was still high in the sky. Suddenly, dark clouds covered the sky and a fierce wind blew. Gotcha! There was a shocking flash of thunder across the sky. "It's here." He was delighted. Finally, the time he had been waiting for was here. Then, Longao moved first. Seeing this, Feng laughed 3 times. He thought that Longao wanted to commit suicide. The two of them didn't use fancy moves. As soon as they came, they directly punched each other. Longao didn't dare to be careless. The Divine Dragon arm and the Hell Tiger arm smashed out at the same time. Fist energy shot out in all directions. You punch, I punch. Just like this, the two of them didn't hold back at all. Longao was smashed until he was covered in blood, but he still endured. Longjing, who was watching the battle not far away, was a little moved. At this time, Longao's body suddenly erupted with a shocking aura of heaven and earth, directly enveloping Feng. At this time, a small black seal suddenly appeared in Longao's body. Then, 12 giant python corpse demons rose at the same time and began to spin. Chapter 280. Seeing the sudden appearance of the small black seal and the 12 giant python corpse demons, Feng was shocked. However, Feng's confidence prevented him from leaving immediately. This made him walk on a path of no return. The black seal shot out a ray of light into the sky. Then, the 12 python corpse demons all circled around the black seal. A dragon's roar resounded through the sky. The summoning was a success. After receiving the information from Longao was overjoyed. He endured the pain in his body and did not continue to fight with Enfeng. The most crucial step had been completed. After leaving the circle of the pattern, Enfeng was about to leave when he realized that his body was enveloped by the power of lightning. This was the so-called lock. It would be a lie if he said that he was not afraid. At this moment, Enfeng was clearly panicking because he knew very well what it meant to be locked on by the power of lightning. Once the lightning struck, even a sovereign would not be able to withstand it, let alone a venerable one like him. Longao, you dared to trick me? He completely ignored Enfeng. Longao's injuries were not bad. After communicating with Long Fu, he immediately went to the place where Long Jing was hiding and said, "I'll let you take a look, lightning strike sovereign." Long Jing's eyes were as wide as a bull's, her face was filled with disbelief. She originally thought that Longao was boasting, but she never expected that Longao really did it. Enfeng was locked in the pattern. At this moment, the entire heavenly concubine was covered by dark clouds. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. One could even feel the terrifying power of the lightning. "Longao, let me go!" Enfeng was not a fool. He knew that all of this was caused by Longao, although he did not know how Longao did it. No one answered. Longao had already disappeared without a trace. Enfeng was completely flustered. He did not know why, but he seemed to have guessed what Longao was going to do. Enfeng was not willing to stand there and wait for death. His terrifying aura and powerful spiritual source fiercely hit the air shield around him. However, he had already been locked down by the power of thunder and lightning. If he wanted to break through the air shield and leave, he first had to break through the lock of thunder and lightning. "Longao, how did you do it?" "I'm not telling you." "Petty. You won't kill me?" "In your dreams, Longao." "Let me tell you, don't think that I'm afraid of you. One day I'll kill you." Longao shrugged helplessly. At this moment, the dragon seal suddenly returned to his Dantian space. Then, Long Fu's voice sounded in his mind. Longao was overjoyed in his heart. Of course, he knew what was going to happen next. He focused all of his attention on watching because this was the first time he had seen the thunderbolt venerable. If this matter were to spread out, he wondered if it would cause a sensation. Crack, crack. Terrifying thunder and lightning continuously struck down, all of them striking the pattern. If Enfeng had not dodged in time, he would have been struck to death by the thunder and lightning. Enfeng knew that if this continued, he might be able to dodge one bolt of lightning, but would he be able to dodge 100? Unwillingness, anger, and all kinds of things made Enfeng feel like an erupting volcano with nowhere to vent. In the distance, looking at Enfeng constantly dodging the lightning, Longao's face became slightly solemn. He knew very well that once he missed this opportunity, Enfeng would definitely bite him and not let him go, not to mention other things. Because of this, no matter what happened, Enfeng had to die. He had to die. Without hesitation, Longao took a big stride forward and rushed out, scaring Long Jing. Enfeng, who was dodging with all his might, suddenly saw Longao appear and angrily roared. "Longao, even if I become a ghost, I will not let you go. Just you wait, just you wait, The unwillingness and anger in Enfeng's heart made him look like he was at the peak of madness. Longao knew that Enfeng had completely gone crazy, but even so, he could not let him go. If you cut the grass without removing the roots, it would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Longao had never been merciful to his enemies, so he did not hesitate at all. The blood-sucking broadsword in his hand had already slashed fiercely at Enfeng. Enfeng had completely gone crazy, but his strength was still there, so it was not an easy task for Longao to kill Enfeng. But fortunately, Enfeng's body had already been locked down by the power of thunder and lightning, and under the double attack, Enfeng began to gradually be unable to resist. From the beginning to the end, Enfeng was full of confidence that he could kill Longao with his own strength. But what was the result? Perhaps even at the moment of his death, and Feng could not figure out why he had lost, and lost so miserably. No matter what, there was no medicine for regret in this world. The blood-sucking broadsword in Longao's hand was as fast as lightning. Terrifying saber lights slashed out one after another, not giving in Feng any chance to dodge at all. Anyway, if he could dodge the saber light attack, he could not dodge the thunder and lightning attack. If he could dodge the thunder and lightning attack, he definitely could not dodge the saber light attack. Crack! The power of thunder and lightning as thick as a tree trunk struck fiercely and precisely on the top of Enfeng's head. Suddenly, Enfeng's body did not move and was directly swallowed by the thunder and lightning from head to toe. Even his bones were not left behind. This was the horror of the power of thunder and lightning. Enfeng was dead. A venerable was killed by the power of thunder and lightning. If others knew that Enfeng, a venerable whose name shook Crimson Dragon City, had died in the hands of a Tao ancestor, who knew how they would feel. But what happened today would obviously not be leaked. Longao was very confident in Long Jing. Such an innocent girl would definitely not tell others about this. Longao, did you really use the power of thunder and lightning to kill Enfeng? Until now, Long Jing had not reacted because she did not expect that Longao could really use the power of thunder and lightning of heaven and earth and kill a venerable. With Longao's strength, who in the entire continent could be a match for Longao? How could Longao not know what Long Jing was thinking? If he could use the power of thunder and lightning of heaven and earth every time, it would not be a problem for him to be invincible in the world. But the problem was that he could use the power of thunder and lightning of heaven and earth to kill Enfeng this time. He had taken advantage of the right time, place, and people, and it was indispensable. Longao, even if you can use the power of thunder and lightning of heaven and earth, I will still kill you. How dare you peek at me bathing, you stinking rogue? Hearing Long Jing bring up the old matter again, Longao was very depressed and said helplessly, "Young miss, I have already said that I did not do it on purpose. Before Longao could finish his words, there was a sinister and cold laughter that came from afar and arrived in an instant. Chapter 281. Longao's expression changed when he heard the laughter. Before Longao could leave with Long Jing, the figure of the evil demon had already appeared. "Kid, we meet again. Seems like we're really fated." "Fated my ass. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Get lost." Longao didn't give in at all because he knew that the more cowardly he acted, the more the demon would look down on him. "Ha ha, what an arrogant kid. You're to my liking. Kid, I've decided not to kill you now, but you have to agree to 2 of my conditions." Longao didn't say anything because he didn't know what the other party's conditions were. However, as long as it wasn't too much, Longao was prepared to agree. After all, it wasn't a good thing to be chased by such a powerful expert. Now that the lightning and thunder had disappeared, who knew how long it would take to wait for the next one? "Kid, the first condition is to hand over the dragon's seal and the 9 netherworld tiger. The second condition is to be my disciple." "Impossible. Don't even think about it." Longao didn't even think about it, and rejected directly. This was because he would not agree to any of the 2 conditions given by the demon, especially the second one, which was to take the demon as his master. That was even more impossible. "Humph, I'll make you agree." With that, the demon suddenly turned into a stream of light and left Huateng's body, entering Long Jing's body. Longao was shocked. He never thought that the evil demon would do such a thing. Before he could react, the aura on Long Jing's body changed completely. It was cold and evil. "Hee, kid, I'd like to see if you agree or not." 2 souls coexisting. Longao had heard of this situation before, but he had never seen anyone who could do it with his own eyes. "Kid, I have something to do now. I'll come find you later. I hope you'll consider it carefully. Otherwise, this little girl will be doomed." Hee. With a sinister laugh, the demon's figure disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Longao's expression was simply unsightly to the extreme. He indeed did not think that the evil demon would do this to him. In the dragon seal's space. Long Fu, will the evil spirit's soul cause any harm to Long Jing after entering her body? Although Long Jing had been shouting at him, Long Ao only knew one thing, and that was that nothing must happen to Long Jing. Otherwise, he would not be able to answer to Long Patian. Master, the evil demon's soul has entered Long Jing's body. Long Jing's soul will definitely be damaged, but it also depends on the evil demon's intentions. Two souls coexist together. If one is careless, both sides will suffer. Does that mean that the evil spirit's soul can enter anyone's body? If this was really the case, then it would be too terrifying. Long Ao didn't dare to imagine what would happen if the evil spirit's soul entered his body and coexisted with his soul. Master, I wouldn't dare. Why is that? It's very simple. Although the evil spirit's soul is powerful, you still have to be careful. Once you suffer from the other party's soul counterattack or soul attack, the only one who will suffer is yourself. That's why the evil spirit doesn't dare to enter your body. So that's why. Long Fu's meaning was very simple. That is, if an evil spirit wanted to seize another person's soul and achieve the symbiosis of two souls, they would have to be very careful. For example, he knew how to use soul attacks. If an evil spirit really wanted to enter his body, it would most likely go for wool and come home shorn. Long Fu, is there any way to let the evil spirit's soul leave Long Jing's body? This was Long Ao's main concern. He couldn't imagine what would happen if the evil spirit's soul stayed in Long Jing's body. Master, there are only two ways to let the evil spirit's soul leave Long Jing's body. The first way is to forcefully disperse the evil spirit's soul. He didn't even dare to think about it. Long Ao knew that forcefully disperse the evil spirit's soul was impossible. After all, the evil spirit's strength was obvious. Long Fu, the second way. The second way is to take a risk. As long as we can use the lightning strike again, I believe we can definitely disperse the evil spirit's soul. Long Ao's face sank. He certainly knew what Long Fu's second method was. He shook his head. Long Ao wasn't prepared to use either of the two methods, especially the second one. Although there was a great chance to disperse the evil spirit's soul, Long Jing was also in danger. Once she was caught in the crossfire, the consequences would be unimaginable. Long Fu, is there no other way? No, unless the evil spirit is willing to leave. F***ck. He cursed in his heart. In the end, it was impossible to make the evil spirit's soul leave Long Jing's body. Did he have to give up like this? Long Fu, I want to know, what is the strength of the evil spirit? Is it a world emperor? The 8 realms of nothingness, from lowest to highest, were the disaster realm, venerable realm, supreme realm, earth realm, empyrean realm, great realm, world king realm, and world emperor realm. In other words, world emperors stood at the pinnacle of nothingness. Master, the evil spirit's strength is much stronger than you think. However, with your current strength, it's better if you don't know. Master, there is only one thing you need to do now, and that is to cultivate diligently. When your cultivation breaks through to the world emperor realm, I will tell you everything. His heart skipped a beat. Long Ao wasn't a fool. Of course, he could understand the meaning behind Long Fu's words. Could it be that the world emperor wasn't the strongest existence? Although Long Fu's words were very obscure, Long Ao could still hear it. Could it be that there was an even more powerful existence above the world emperor? His heart was shocked to the extreme. It seemed that he was still a frog at the bottom of the well. The road he had to walk was very long. World Emperor. Long Ao helplessly shook his head, his heart filled with emotion. From Long Fu's words, Long Ao knew that the evil spirit's strength was definitely above the world emperor realm. It was hard to imagine what kind of existence the evil spirit's true body was. Such a terrifying powerhouse, it wouldn't be easy for him to deal with. Master, there is something I want to remind you of. Speak. Gugao was surprised because this was the first time he saw Long Fu's face so serious. Could something have happened? Master, the evil spirit is too evil. He kills constantly. If you take him as your master, I'm afraid you will also become a devil of slaughter in the future. At that time, I will have no choice but to leave with the dragon seal. So, I hope Master won't accept the evil spirit and become his disciple. So it was about this. Longao helplessly said. Long Fu, rest assured. Unless I die, I will not take the evil spirit as my master. However, the most important thing now is to settle the matter of the dual soul symbiosis as soon as possible. Chapter 282. Longao did not intend to keep Long Jing's matter a secret. That was why Longao did not return to Tianzhou. Instead, he headed for Crimson Dragon City. Crimson Dragon City, outside the Long family. Longao, I've already made it clear to you. Crimson Dragon City does not welcome you, and neither does the Long family. I hope you can leave. Looking at Longao who left and returned, Long Bu's expression was gloomy to the extreme. If it weren't for Heaven Breaker, Long Bu would have attacked long ago. However, his rationality suppressed his impulsiveness in the end. I want to see Long Patian. I have something important to tell him. Longao, I know what you're trying to do. You're from a small family, and you want to soar to the top. However, you've chosen the wrong person. Do you understand? Longao chose to ignore Long Bu's mockery. No matter what, Long Bu was Long Potion's father. Moreover, the most important thing now was Long Jing, not making enemies. I've already said that I have to talk to Brother Patian face to face. Long Bu's face was filled with disgust and mockery. He said coldly, Longao, do you have any shame? I've already said that if you want your family to be strong, you have to rely on yourself, not on your friends. So that's how it is. Longao now finally understood what Long Bu meant by that. Long Patian had promised him that when he returned to his family, he would send 2 sovereigns to his family. However, Long Patian was not the leader of the Long family, and everything had to be decided by Long Bu. As such, things became quite simple. Long Bu must have thought that he wanted to use Long Potion's power to develop his family's power. Without a doubt, Longao did not blame Long Bu. After all, no matter who it was, they would probably think the same and put themselves in his shoes. Longao, I've already made it clear. If you have anything to say, tell me. Otherwise, please leave immediately. I've already let go of Jinger's matter for Potion's sake. Don't push your luck. Long Bu did not want to continue talking, so he turned around and returned to the Long family. Standing quietly in front of the Long family's gate, Longao originally wanted to force his way in, but in the end, he held himself back. For the sake of his friends, he could not become enemies with the Long family. Back then, it wasn't Longao who wanted to destroy the Nebula royal family. It was Ouyang Fei who was at fault first. If he hadn't rushed back to the clan in time, it was hard to imagine what would have happened to the clan. But no matter what, Longao didn't kill them all in the end. Everything was because of the friendship they once had. Longao was completely devoted to his friends. It could be said that Longao was an affectionate and righteous person. Longao took a deep look at the Long family in front of him and finally chose to leave. At the entrance of the Long family's house, the 2 guards looked at the departing silhouette. They snorted coldly and cursed. Bah, who do you think you are? Relying on the fact that you are young Master Long's friend, you are actually so shameless. You actually want to climb the social ladder. Sigh, I don't know what's wrong with young people these days. Instead of working hard, they are always thinking of crooked ways. Although they were far away, Longao heard it clearly. He didn't feel angry at all. Just like that, Longao left the Long family's house, but he didn't leave the Crimson Dragon City. In a luxurious restaurant by the window, Longao sat alone, thinking about all kinds of things in his mind. Without a doubt, all of them were about Long Jing and the evil spirit, the symbiosis of 2 souls. According to the 2 methods mentioned by Long Fu, Longao knew very well that no matter which one he chose, it wouldn't be the best choice. Especially the second choice, it was even more dangerous. If he was in danger, then so be it. The problem was that if he chose to be struck by lightning, Long Jing might very well disappear together with the evil spirit. What should he do? Longao was very confident that the evil spirit would come looking for him soon. So, there was no need to think about how to find the evil spirit and Long Jing. Look, isn't that the Longao who killed in Sun and in Hao? Yes, that's right, it's him. Damn, I admire him. He even dared to kill the Yin family's father and son, and he even dared to appear here. He's too awesome. Why don't we go over and make friends? Forget it. What kind of person is he, and what kind of thing are you? F***ck, you still want to be friends with him? Why don't you see if you're worthy? Hearing the discussion from not far away, Longao didn't care. The Yin family was no threat to him now. After all, even the Yin family's ancestor, Enfeng, was struck to death by lightning. Who else in the Yin family would dare to stand out? At this moment, Longao suddenly received a piece of news that was like a bolt from the blue. Tianzhou was in chaos, and the 6 major sects were at war. There were 6 major sects in Tianzhou. They were the Ghost King clan, Blood Sea clan, Wind Thunder clan, Golden Sun clan, Flame clan, and Thunder clan. All these years, the 6 major sects have been fighting both openly and secretly. However, there wasn't much friction between them and they never fought to the death. But now, based on the news, the 6 major sects in Tianzhou were divided into 2 factions. The first faction was led by the Ghost King clan, with the Golden Sun clan and the Thunder clan as support. The other faction was the remaining 3 sects, led by the Blood Sea clan, with the Flame clan and the Wind Thunder clan as support. Hearing this news, Longao was shocked. Everyone knew that out of the 6 major sects, the Flame clan and the Sound of Thunder clan were the most powerful. But now, the leaders of the 2 factions weren't the Flame clan and the Thunder clan, but the Blood Sea clan and the Ghost King clan. In other words, the war between the 6 major sects would directly affect the future of Tianzhou. The news of the war between the 6 major sects in Tianzhou spread across the 9 continents. The other 8 continents were looking forward to this war. No matter who won, Tianzhou would be greatly damaged. When that happens, it wouldn't be a problem for the other 8 continents to move into Tianzhou. Longao felt helpless against the 6 major sections. Because out of the 6 major sects, other than the Wind Thunder clan and the Sound of Thunder clan, he seemed to have conflicts with the other 4 major sections. Especially with the Golden Sun clan, he had a life and death feud. Since it didn't concern him, he didn't care. Originally, the war between the 6 major sects had nothing to do with him. However, when Longao heard the news, he also received another piece of news. The Nebula royal family was destroyed, and the Wang family suffered countless casualties. Their whereabouts were unknown. If it were any other family, Longao wouldn't care at all. However, he couldn't ignore the Wang family. No matter what, the Wang family was still Yu Yin's family. If something happened to the Wang family, Yu Yin would return in the future. How would he explain it to Yu Yin? It was just a rumor. Longao didn't see it with his own eyes. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. If the Wang family was really destroyed, it would be troublesome. Because of this, Longao immediately left Crimson Dragon City and rushed towards Tianzhou. Chapter 283. Sky Martial Continent was divided into 9 regions. Sky region had a total of 6 sects: Ghost King sect, Golden Sun sect, Leitang sect, Blood Sea sect, Wind Thunder sect and Blazing sect. After many years of preparation, Ghost King Aotian could no longer wait and started the biggest battle in Sky region. According to Ghost King Aotian's original plan, he wanted to divide the 5 sects and then Ghost King's sect would reap the benefits. But in the end, he realized that each of the 5 sects was better than the other. Since that was the case, he chose to form an alliance. Because of that, the 6 sects were divided into 2 alliances. Ghost King sect, Golden Sun sect and Latang sect formed an alliance. The remaining 3 sects, Blood Sea sect, Wind Thunder sect and Blazing sect formed another alliance. The 2 alliances began to fight each other. At the beginning, it was the ordinary disciples who fought. In the end, it was the inner sect disciples who fought. Even the elders joined in. Either you die or I die. Things had already reached this stage. The 6 sects clearly knew that there was no turning back. If they couldn't destroy the other party, then they would be the ones to be destroyed. Scarlet Flame Town, Long Family. The current Scarlet Flame Town was no longer what it used to be. Its scale had expanded by more than 10 times. Even Star Cloud City couldn't be compared to the current Scarlet Flame Town. Everyone knew that the reason why Scarlet Flame Town could be where it was today was because of one person, the super genius of the Long family, Longao. Longao's strong rise caused Scarlet Flame Town to gradually appear in the eyes of everyone in Sky region. Under normal circumstances, with the Long family and Scarlet Flame Town's current strength and status, no one dared to provoke them. Even the Wang family of the Star Cloud royal family, no one dared to provoke them because everyone knew that the Long family was the backing of the Wang family. But the result? Out of the 2 alliances formed by the 6 sects, the first thing that Blood Sea sect did was not to deal with Ghost King sect, Golden Sun sect and Latang sect, but to deal with the Wang family of the Star Cloud royal family. The Wang family had just entered the Star Cloud royal family. Their foundation was not stable, and their strength was not very strong. Not to mention Blood Sea sect, even the other families were not a match for them. Therefore, Blood Sea sect destroyed the Wang family effortlessly. If Wang Yidao didn't prepare beforehand, everyone in the Wang family would have been killed. Scarlet Flame Town, Long family's main hall. Brother Wang, are you all right? Wang Yidao waved his hand and sighed deeply. He said helplessly, Fortunately, the Thunder Sect Xia Jun informed me in time, allowing me to move everyone away. Otherwise, the Wang clan would have been destroyed. Long Haosher could clearly sense the danger the Wang family was in. Long Haosher was a bit surprised that the Blood Sea sect would suddenly attack the Wang family. After all, the battle between the 6 great sects had nothing to do with the Wang family. Could it be that the Wang family was a threat to the 6 great sects? After thinking about it, Long Haosher could only think of one possibility, and that was Long Ao, his grandson. Others might not know, but Long Haosher clearly knew that the enmity between the Blood Sea sect and Ao had already reached the point where they could not tolerate each other. Since the Blood Sea sect had chosen to start a war, they would definitely not let go of this opportunity to take revenge. The Wang clan was the first, followed by the Long clan. Regarding this point, whether it was Long Haosher or Wang Yidao, both of them were very clear about it. The first thing that the Blood Sea sect did was to deal with the Wang family. Then, they would deal with the Long family next, without a doubt. Brother Long, what should we do next? The Long family and the Wang family were in the same boat. Wang Yidao was very clear that once something happened to the Long family, the Wang family would end up the same as the Long family. The Blood Sea sect is very strong. We cannot choose to fight them head-on. Therefore, I have already decided to evacuate all the Long family members and leave the Scarlet Flame Town. 3 days ago, when Long Haosher received the news that the Blood Sea sect was going to deal with the Wang family, he had already started making preparations. In just 3 days, 99% of the Long family members had already been evacuated from the Scarlet Flame Town. Long Haosher knew that the Blood Sea sect was only going to deal with the Long family. If the Long family left, the Blood Sea sect would not be so shameless as to massacre an entire town. Brother Wang, the Long family members have already been evacuated. As for the Wang family disciples, they have also been evacuated. Now only you and I are left. Why don't we go out for a walk and think about coming back in the future? We don't even know what will happen when we come back. Hearing that all the disciples of the dragon and Wang families had been evacuated, Wang Yidao heaved a sigh of relief. Nodding his head, Wang Yidao and Long Haosher left the hall. The 2 old men walked on the streets of the Scarlet Flame Town. Their faces were filled with longing and reluctance. Brother Long, there is no need to be reluctant. With Aoor's talent and potential, I believe that it will not be long before we come back again. Nodding his head, Longao was very confident in his grandson. Not continuing to be entangled, Longao suddenly smiled and said, "Let's go, we should leave early. I believe that the Blood Sea sect will be here soon." Just as Longao and Wang Yidao left, the Blood Sea sect's army arrived. The Blood Sea sect had only sent 1,000 people this time. However, the leaders were two earthly sovereigns, Yi He and Du Tianming. Actually, the reason why Longao chose to leave this time was because the Fire Qilin had suddenly left the Long family. Otherwise, with the Fire Qilin overseeing the Long family, who would dare to provoke the Long family? Because of this, Longao chose to leave the Scarlet Flame town with his family. As the saying goes, where there is life, there is hope. As long as the Long family is not destroyed, there will be a day when it will rise again. Outside the Scarlet Flame town. Elders, the Long family is empty. We do not know where they went. What? In an instant, Yi He and Du Tianming already knew what had happened. Their faces instantly became gloomy. Because this time, the master gave them the task of destroying the Long family no matter what happened. If one of them ran away, the two of them would not have to go back. But now, not to mention that one of them ran away, everyone in the Long family was gone. If this matter was known by the master, the two of them would not be able to escape. Brother Yi, what should we do now? This matter must not be known by the master. Everyone, listen up. The Long family dares to be enemies with our Blood Sea sect. Their deaths are not to be regretted. Everyone enter the Scarlet Flame town. Don't put one person, including the other people in the Scarlet Flame town. Do you understand? How could the 1,000 people not understand? But due to the identity and strength of the two people, everyone nodded and said loudly, "Understood." With a sneer, Du Tianming and Yi He personally led more than 1,000 disciples of the Blood Sea sect into the Red Fire town. They killed everyone they saw, no matter who it was, even if it was a 5-year-old child. Chapter 284. In just 2 hours, the Scarlet Fire town was completely massacred. No one was spared. Whether it was the elderly, the children, or even the infants, they were all massacred. Not a single one was spared. The news of the Blood Sea sect massacring the Scarlet Fire town instantly spread throughout the entire Tianzhou. Many people were incomparably shocked. They didn't know why the Blood Sea sect would massacre such a small town. Scarlet Fire town, where Longao's family was located. After knowing this, everyone fiercely despised the Blood Sea sect. In everyone's opinion, no matter what the grudge between the Blood Sea sect and Longao was, they couldn't slaughter an entire town. What was even more excessive was that they slaughtered everyone, men, women, young and old. However, due to the Blood Sea sect's great strength, no one dared to stand out and say a word. Even if they were angry, they didn't dare to speak out. Within the Scarlet Fire town, Longao stood there quietly. No anger or killing intent could be seen from him. He just stood there quietly. The current Scarlet Fire town could only be described with 8 words. Corpses were everywhere, blood flowed like a river. Millions of people were massacred. If one wasn't careful, one could even see the corpses of infants everywhere. "Brother Long, we've let you down." Xia Jun and Dugabai had already rushed over. When the two of them found out that Longao wasn't dead, they were extremely excited. At the same time, they were also deeply shocked. After all, there wasn't a single person who could survive a Dao ancestor's self-destruction. Ever since the 6 great sects started the war, the two of them had been extremely busy. As for the Blood Sea sect's attack on the Scarlet Fire town, they only found out later. When the two of them were about to rescue Longao, they found out that the Scarlet Fire town had already been destroyed by the Blood Sea sect. The two of them clearly knew what the destruction of the Scarlet Fire town meant. Longao didn't say anything. Silence. The entire Scarlet Fire town was silent. Aside from the smell of blood that filled the air, there were only corpses on the ground. Looking at the motionless black-clothed and white-haired youth standing in front of them, both Xia Jun and Dugu Bai deeply sighed in their hearts. Brother Dugu, what should we do now? Wait and see. Brother Long definitely can't take such a blow. From now on, no matter where Brother Long goes, we have to follow him closely. Xia Jun nodded. He knew that Longao's family had been destroyed, and Longao was definitely on the verge of collapse. However, Longao didn't seem angry or murderous. Instead, he was so calm that it was terrifying. With empty eyes, Longao's mind went blank. Just like this, Longao stood in the Crimson Flame Town for 3 days. In these 3 days, Longao didn't move at all. He didn't sleep, didn't rest, didn't eat, and didn't drink. No matter what Xia Jun and Dugu Bai said, Longao still didn't speak. He just stood there quietly. Brother Dugu, Brother Long's eyebrows. Looking over, the two of them sighed deeply. It had only been 3 days, but Longao couldn't take the blow. His eyebrows had turned white. At this moment, Longao's hair was white, and his eyebrows were white. He was dressed in black, and he stood there alone. Who is the one who destroyed my Long family's representative this time? Hearing Longao finally speak, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were delighted. Xia Jun couldn't wait to answer. This time, the leaders are 2 elders of the Blood Sea sect. They are Yi He and Du Tianming. Both of them are earthly sovereigns. Earthly sovereigns? The corner of Longao's mouth curled up into a cruel smile. Suddenly, an earth-shattering murderous aura burst out from his body and spread out in all directions. The murderous aura merged with the aura of heaven and earth. Even Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were forced to retreat by this frightening murderous aura. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun's faces were full of shock. They almost cried out in surprise. They had never expected that Longao's cultivation would improve again in just a few days. He had broken through from the earthly emperor realm to the peak of the Tao ancestor realm. What did this mean? Not to mention Longao's talent and cultivation speed, just Longao's strength alone was enough to dominate everyone under the Nihility realm. It should be known that when Longao was only an earthly sovereign, he was already able to kill Tao ancestor experts. It was conceivable that Longao's cultivation had officially broken through to peak Tao ancestor. Didn't that mean that Longao was invincible in the Nihility realm? Xia Jun and Dugu Bai could see the deep shock in each other's eyes. If they hadn't sensed it personally, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Such talent and cultivation speed were simply too terrifying. Brother Long, what are you planning to do? Feeling the powerful murderous aura emitted from Longao, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun seemed to have guessed something. The two of them felt a lingering fear. If Longao really went to the Blood Sea sect to take revenge, not only would he be unable to do so, but it would also be counterproductive. The Blood Sea sect was one of the 6 great sects and the overlord of the Alliance. One could imagine how terrifying the Blood Sea sect's strength was. Among the 6 great sects, the Inferno sect and the Sound of Thunder sect were publicly acknowledged as the strongest sections. But what was the result? The truly powerful sects weren't the Inferno sect and the Sound of Thunder sect, but the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect. Because of this, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were very worried. If Longao really went to the Blood Sea sect, with just Longao's strength, it would be impossible for him to take revenge. Brother Dugu, Brother Xia, who is the strongest person in the Blood Sea sect? The two of them knew Longao's character very well. Once he had decided on something, it would be very difficult to change it. Dugu Bai sighed deeply and said, Brother Long, according to what I know, the strongest person in the Blood Sea sect should be the Ji Zun. But with your current strength, it's impossible for you to be a match for a Ji Zun. Ji Zun? Longao naturally knew what a Ji Zun meant. Not to mention a Ji Zun, even a venerable would be impossible for him with his current strength. However, he had to take revenge for his family, no matter what happened, no matter what difficulties he faced. The Blood Sea sect must be destroyed. Longao didn't continue to stay. He moved with the wind, and his figure had already disappeared without a trace. Brother Dugu, what should we do now? Xia Jun was very worried. He knew Longao's character too well. If nothing unexpected happened, Longao would definitely go to the Blood Sea sect. It was easy to imagine whether he would live or die. You should know Brother Long's character better than me. It's impossible for us to follow him to the Blood Sea sect. We can only go back and ask the sect for help. I hope that the sect will form an alliance with Brother Long to deal with the Blood Sea sect together. Otherwise, with Brother Long's strength alone, it's impossible for him to destroy the Blood Sea sect. Xia Jun nodded. He obviously knew the strength of the Blood Sea sect. Not to mention Longao, even the Sound of Thunder sect might not be a match for the Blood Sea sect. This was the strength of the Blood Sea sect. Since that's the case, let's go back first. Later, let the sect seal off this place. No matter who it is, no one is allowed to enter. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy. Dugubai and Xia Jun had already decided to seal off the Scarlet Fire Town. No matter what, they would have to wait for Longao to come back and deal with this place. The only thing they could do was to watch over this place. Chapter 285. Inside the Dragon Seal Space. Longao's face was unusually cold. He had already decided that no matter what, he would go to the Blood Sea sect to take revenge. Long Fu, I need power. Is there any way for me to break through to the honorable or sovereign realm? Longao originally wanted to use the 9 Needles of Divine Seal, but Long Fu told him that even if he used the 9 Needles of Divine Seal, his strength would not break through the Nihility realm, let alone becoming a martial saint or martial saint. The reason was simple. A peak Tao ancestor could only break through to the Void realm if he could pass through the 100 tribulations to turn the spiritual energy in his body into spiritual energy. Otherwise, even if he used the 9 Needle Seal, it was impossible to break through to the Void realm. Because of this, Longao was completely anxious. Although the anger and killing intent in his heart occupied everything, Longao still suppressed his impulse and killing intent. Longao was very clear in his heart that with his current strength, wanting to destroy the Blood Sea sect was simply a dream, unless his cultivation could break through to the peak of the martial saint realm or the sovereign realm. Master, there's no way. Looking deeply at Long Fu, Longao knew that since Long Fu said so, there was really no hope. Could it be that he had to endure like this? After leaving the Dragon Seal space, Longao met the Fire Qilin. To be honest, Longao still had a lot of complaints about the Fire Qilin. No matter what, he had a 3-year agreement with the Fire Qilin. But now, the 3-year agreement hadn't expired yet, but such a thing had happened to the family. The Fire Qilin had to bear half of the responsibility. However, Longao wasn't angry at all. After all, the Fire Qilin's strength was there for all to see. Moreover, he also treated the Fire Qilin as his friend. Kid, you don't have to be unhappy. I did have something to do and had to leave. I didn't expect such a thing to happen. Longao didn't speak. He just stood there and listened quietly. There was no expression on his face. Kid, do you want to take revenge? Hearing the Fire Qilin's words, Longao's eyes suddenly shot out a golden light. He was filled with killing intent and asked in a deep voice. You have a way? Yes, but if you're not careful, the consequences will be very serious. You must be prepared. No matter what happens, I will take revenge and destroy the Blood River sect. All right. With my current strength, I can only help you break through to the Hollow Martial Artist realm. However, I can give you 3 drops of my life essence blood. If you encounter a martial artist, as long as you use my life essence blood to launch a soul attack, you will have a 90% chance of successfully killing your enemy. He was overjoyed. Longao obviously knew what the Fire Qilin's life blood essence meant. Under normal circumstances, a martial artist's life blood essence represented their own life. It was very difficult to make up for a single drop missing, let alone 3 drops of life blood essence. Longao was very confident that as long as his cultivation could break through to the venerable void, he would be able to kill a Supreme Being powerhouse as long as he could catch his opponent off guard and release a soul attack with the help of the 3 drops of natal surprise. Immediately after, Longao felt that his body was out of control. He was not surprised at all because he knew that this was the fire Kirin's help to increase his strength. Without any resistance, Longao was enveloped by a terrifying fire attribute aura. Waves of powerful fire energy entered Longao's body. The fire Kirin's meaning was very simple. Although Longao could not attract his own 100 tribulations and reach the hollow martial artist's realm, he could help Longao to forcefully convert the spiritual energy in his body into spiritual energy. Although this forceful increase in realm was not comparable to a true 100 tribulations, what Longao needed the most now was to increase his strength. However, forcefully increasing one's strength like this would have a lot of side effects. Once there was a backlash, it would be much more powerful than the 9 needles sealing god. According to the fire Kirin, this forceful increase in strength could last for about 10 days. This was the fire Kirin's limit. 10 days was enough. 6 hours later. Big brother Kirin, thank you very much. No matter what, you're my big brother. I want to ask you for a favor. Speak. The fire Kirin seemed a bit guilty. After all, if he did not leave Chihua town, the Long family would not have been destroyed. However, as a proud Kirin, the fire Kirin would not admit its mistake. Even so, the fire Kirin was already very kind. According to its pride, it would not have helped Longao increase his strength. Regarding all of this, Longao naturally knew it clearly. It would be a lie to say that he was not grateful to the fire Kirin. Although he had a 3-year agreement with the fire Kirin, he could not stay by its side all the time. Big brother Kirin, this time I'm going to the Blood River sect. I want to ask you to help me protect Chihua town. If I'm lucky enough to come back alive, I'll take care of it. But if I can't come back alive, then please help me burn down Chihua town. Longao had already thought of all the things that could happen. Although his strength had increased to the venerable realm, and he had 3 drops of the fire Kirin's blood essence, it was better to be safe than sorry. No one knew the strength of the Blood River sect. According to the rumors, among the 6 sects, the Sound of Thunder and Flames sect were the strongest. But what was the result? The Blood River sect and Ghost King sect were far stronger than the Sound of Thunder and Flames sect. This in itself showed how shrewd the Blood River sect was. It was precisely because of this that Longao did not have complete confidence that he would be able to destroy the Blood Sea sect this time. So, he had to think about everything. The people that he was most worried about were Yuyin, Ao Shui, and his dead family. Blood River sect. I'll help you take care of this matter. You have 1 month. Nodding, Longao left Chihua town. He did not immediately go to the Blood River sect. Although he only had 10 days at this time, he wanted to see someone very much. Yuyin could not be found, so he could only go see Ao Shui before he left. However, what made Longao feel helpless was that because the 6 sects were at war, the Ghost King sect was completely locked down. No matter who it was, no one was allowed to step into the Ghost King sect. Longao did not want to cause trouble at this time, so he could only choose to leave. The matter of the Chihua town being destroyed by the Blood River sect was only a ripple. The next day, it had disappeared without a trace. Today, in the Tianzhou, including the other 8 provinces, everyone was paying attention to the battle between the 6 sections. They wanted to see who would win and who would lose. However, one thing was certain, and that was that no matter which alliance won or lost, the situation in the Tianzhou would change. The balance of power between the 6 major sects would turn into a struggle between the 3 major sects. The war in the Tianzhou was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the other 8 major sects. There were even forces from a few continents that were ready to intervene at any time. Chapter 286. The Blood Sea Sect, one of the 6 sections. All along, The Blood Sea sect had been the weakest among the 6 sections. The strongest ones were the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House. But what the world didn't expect was that the Blood Sea sect, which had always been unknown, had such terrifying strength. They even surpassed the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House and formed an alliance to fight against the Ghost King House. It could be said that the Ghost King House and the Blood Sea sect were like 2 dark horses. They were in the limelight and suppressed the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House. The Blood Sea sect had 10 honorables and 3 honorables, whereas the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House only had 2 honorables. One could imagine how powerful the Blood Sea sect was. The Blood Sea sect was located at the Blood Sea Peak. It was surrounded by mountains and one couldn't even see the end of it. This time, the Blood Sea sect teamed up with the Sound of Thunder House and the Flaming House to fight against the Ghost King House. It could be said that they were at a stalemate. No one could do anything to the other. Back then, the Ghost King House and the Blood Sea sect were about to form an alliance. With the 2 sects working together, they could easily destroy the other 4 sects and dominate Tianzhou. But in the end, the 2 sects didn't form an alliance. The reason was simple. Both sects wanted to be the leader. The leader was the leader. The second leader couldn't be compared to him. The Blood Sea Peak was one of the wonders of Tianzhou. The Blood Sea Peak had a total of 12 mountain peaks, encircling each other, with the Blood Sea Peak in the middle, looking majestic. 3 days later, a young man stood at the foot of the Blood Sea Peak. He had white hair and 2 white eyebrows. Dressed in black, he was cold and aloof. He stood there quietly and stared at the Blood Sea Peak before him. Longao had arrived at the foot of the Blood Sea Peak. After asking around, Longao already knew the true strength of the Blood Sea Peak. If it weren't for the alliance, the Blood Sea sect wouldn't have revealed their true strength. In other words, both the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King House had 3 honorables and 10 honorables. One had to admit that the Blood Sea sect was indeed powerful. With the help of the Fire Qilin, Longao's strength had successfully broken through to the honorable realm. He also had 3 drops of the Fire Qilin's blood. Who are you? The Blood Sea Peak is an important place. Leave quickly, or else you will be killed without mercy. The battle between the 2 great alliances had caused the Blood Sea sect to be extremely strict. No matter who it was, no one was allowed to enter the Blood Sea Peak. Furthermore, the 2 disciples guarding the peak were both Xiantian cultivators. A one-line sky martial artist guarding the gate? If it was in the past, the one-line sky martial artists guarding the gate would definitely shock everyone and curse the Blood Sea sect for being wasteful. But now, everyone could only say that the Blood Sea sect was being cautious and wary of the Ghost King sect. Tell Guanfeng to get out here. Guanfeng? The 2 Blood Sea sect disciples didn't seem to be able to react for a moment, but very quickly, their faces abruptly changed as they angrily said, "Are you courting death? You actually dare to call Master by his name." The master of the Blood Sea sect, Guanfeng, was no longer the same as before. "If you don't come out, kill! You're courting death!" The 2 disciples couldn't bear it any longer. Regardless of whether the Blood Sea sect had risen or not, no one had ever dared to openly challenge them. Not to mention a little brat, even the Ghost King sect disciples didn't dare to do so. Both of them were from One Line Sky and had the backing of their respective sects, so they didn't fear each other at all. But the 2 of them came quickly and left even faster. 2 miserable screams resounded as their bodies fell to the ground, dead. Longao coldly glanced at the Blood Sea sect disciples in front of him. Suddenly his voice rumbled like thunder. "Old thief Guanfeng, quickly come out and accept your death! Old thief Guanfeng, quickly come out and accept your death! Old thief Guanfeng, quickly come out and accept your death! Old thief Guanfeng, quickly come out and accept your death!" Longao roared 3 times in a row. His voice instantly spread throughout the entire Blood Sea sect. Not long after, the angry voice came from afar and soon, Guanfeng and the other 11 people appeared at the foot of the Blood Sea Peak. Guanfeng's cultivation had smoothly broken through to the Supreme's realm. Adding the two original supremes of the Blood Sea sect, the Blood Sea sect now had 3 supremes and 10 venerables. This was the full strength of the Blood Sea sect. Longao's venerable aura was not concealed in the slightest. Because of this, Guanfeng brought 10 venerables here. When Guanfeng saw that the other party was Longao, he was stunned. Then, he suddenly laughed and said, "Longao, I have to admit that you're too arrogant. You don't know the difference between life and death." While mocking, Guanfeng's heart was also shocked to the extreme. This was because he could clearly sense that the black-clothed, white-haired youth in front of him had broken through to the venerable realm in such a short time. With such cultivation talent, who in the Tianzhou region could compete with him? Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. Guanfeng was very clear that with Longao's talent and strength, wouldn't Longao become even stronger in a few more years? At that time, even the Blood Sea sect would not be able to stop Longao. "You destroyed my Long family. Today, the Blood Sea sect will be destroyed." Hearing this, the 10 venerables behind Guanfeng all laughed as if they had heard the funniest thing in the world. Their faces were filled with ridicule and contempt. So what if he was invenerable? No matter what, the other party was only one person. What about their side? There were a total of 10 sovereigns and 1 sovereign. With this kind of strength, killing Longao was simply something that could be done in minutes. Not to mention the venerable Guanfeng, if the 10 venerables joined forces, it would be very difficult for Longao to resist. Ignoring the 11 people's ridicule, Longao suddenly sneered and said, "Guanfeng, with my strength, slaughtering the Blood Sea sect is very simple. I believe that you can't stop me." Hearing this, whether it was Guanfeng or the 10 venerables, their faces became abnormally ugly. This was because everyone knew that if Longao really hid and assassinated the disciples of the Blood Sea sect, they would not be able to do anything. After all, the strength and speed of Invenerable were there for all to see. "Longao, what do you want?" Guanfeng's face was also abnormally ugly. The more confident Longao was, the more unsure Guanfeng and the others were. After all, they could not afford to gamble. Moreover, now was a special time. If the Ghost King sect seized the opportunity, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Guanfeng, you destroyed my Long family. I will definitely destroy your Blood Sea sect. However, I will do it openly and not as shameless as you. Let's have a life and death battle. If I win, everyone in the Blood Sea sect will kill themselves. If I lose, I will kill myself here. Heaven and earth will be my witness. Do you dare to accept the challenge? A life and death battle? A life and death battle?" Hearing this, Guanfeng and the 10 venerables all laughed. This kind of joke was probably the funniest joke in the world. He was simply courting death. Chapter 287. "Longao, do you want to fight 1-on-1 or 1-on-10? Guanfeng's meaning was simple. No matter what, he had 10 sovereigns behind him. Even if Longao had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Longao's voice had spread throughout the entire Blood River sect. Soon, all the disciples of the Blood River sect had gathered. There were thousands of them. Not only the Blood Sea sect, the news of Longao killing his way to the Blood Sea sect was spread out by someone, but the people from the other 5 great sects of the Sky region all knew about it. So many people came from afar and did not approach. In the distance, "Brother Dugu, Brother Long's cultivation has broken through to Sovereign Void." Nodding his head, Dugubai's face was extremely serious. He said, "Brother Long must have used the 9 divine sealing needles again. It seems like he's prepared to stake it all on this. Brother Dugu, was it right for us to spread the news of Brother Long killing his way to the Blood River sect? So it was these 2 who spread the news. Otherwise, no one would know. Xiao Jun, even if Brother Long used the 9 divine sealing needles to forcibly increase his strength, Brother Long is still a single person. However, the Blood Sea sect has a total of 10 reverends and 3 utmost exalts. With such strength, not to mention Brother Long, even the entire sect would not be able to contend against them. Although he didn't want to admit it, Xia Jun knew that Dugubai was speaking the truth. The Blood River sect was too strong. Even the other sects couldn't fight against them, unless it was the Ghost King sect. Among the 6 sects, it was no longer the Inferno sect and the Sound of Thunder sect. It was the Ghost King sect and the Blood River sect. Brother Dugu, what do you mean? Until now, Xia Jun still didn't know why Brother Dugu wanted to spread the news. I want to help Brother Long. How? This time, Brother Long killed his way to the Blood River sect. Look, the 5 sects are all here. If the 5 sects can see Brother Long's talent and strength, I believe there will be people who will help him. Nodding his head, Xia Jun finally understood what Brother Dugu meant. Many experts from the 5 great sects had gathered. They all wanted to see how the grudge between Longao and the Blood Sea sect would be resolved. If it was an ordinary warrior attacking the Blood Sea sect, no one would care at all. However, Longao's situation was different. One had to know that Longao had single-handedly attacked the Ghost King sect and forcefully resisted the Ghost King sect and the Golden Sun sect. It was precisely because of this that the 5 great sects were filled with anticipation towards Longao. They wanted to see what kind of surprise Longao would bring them, and whether or not he could contend against the Blood River sect. Longao, I can give you a chance. As long as you can defeat 10 elders by yourself, I'll consider it your win. How about it? It was too much of a bully. Hearing the words of the Blood River sect's master Guan Feng, a wave of curses, mockery, booing, and even cursing 18 generations of ancestors came from all around. The 10 Blood River sect's grand elders were all genuine venerables. Even if Longao had used some secret technique to forcibly raise his strength to the venerables realm, it was still impossible for him to defeat 10 venerables by himself. The Blood River sect's master was simply shameless to the extreme. However, since the matter had already reached this point, no one stood up to say anything. It was just as Dugubai had guessed. Unless Longao displayed formidable strength and talent, no one would meddle in other people's business and provoke the Blood Sea sect. Dugubai was very confident in Longao. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spread this news. Ha, Longao, could it be that you don't dare? Guan Feng and the others' faces were filled with mockery and disdain. A mere venerables dared to be so arrogant and kill their way into the Blood River sect. Even if there were 10 venerables, he alone could easily kill them. Until now, Guan Feng still couldn't figure out what gave Longao such great courage to actually have the guts to attack the Blood Sea sect. Guan Feng, do you feel that you're shameless? Shameless? Longao, I will let you understand a truth. The winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. Since ancient times, the winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. Only the winner has the qualifications to say that the loser is shameless, and the loser doesn't have the qualifications to say that the winner is shameless. Guan Feng smiled and continued, I have to admit that your talent is indeed the strongest among all the people I've seen. Without a doubt, you can even chase after the dragon rankings in the future, but you already have no chance. Guan Feng was very clear about what the dragon rankings represented. The dragon rankings were the most valuable rankings of the Long family. Once Longao entered the dragon rankings, he would definitely obtain the approval of the Long family. At that time, it would be troublesome. The Long family was one of the strongest powers in the Martial Heaven continent. Let alone a single Blood River sect, even 1,000 Blood River sects added together might not be a match for the Long family. It was precisely because of this that Guan Feng was so impatient to kill Longao. He wanted to strangle this genius in the cradle. No matter what, he couldn't allow Longao to enter the dragon rankings and obtain the approval of the Long family. Under normal circumstances, the Blood River sect and the Ghost King sect were fighting. They wouldn't have the time or energy to provoke other people. However, Guan Feng had specifically sent disciples to destroy Scarlet Flame Town. That in itself showed just how much Guan Feng feared Longao. You've said a lot. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Only the strong can set the rules of survival. So I will slaughter the Blood River sect, leaving no one alive. With just you? From start to finish, Guanfeng hadn't placed Longao in his eyes. That was because he knew just how great the gap between sovereigns and sovereigns was. Unless he was a sovereign, he wouldn't bring any trouble to the sect. Longao, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but since you dared to kill your way into the Blood River sect, you should have been prepared to face their experts alone. You don't even dare to challenge the 10 elders. Guanfeng didn't continue, but the disdain on his face was enough to explain everything. Everyone was viciously cursing the Blood River sect and Guanfeng. No matter how much courage Longao had and how much confidence he had in himself, to face 10 sovereigns by himself, let alone Longao, no matter who it was, they wouldn't dare to accept the challenge. Precisely because of this, Longao didn't accept the challenge of the 10 venerables. None of them looked down on him. Instead, they all thought that Guanfeng was shameless, and that the Blood Sea sect was shameless. After all, such a challenge was simply taking advantage of the situation. However, Longao suddenly raised his head and stared at Guanfeng and the 10 elders behind him. Suddenly, he said, "The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Guanfeng, I, Longao, will now formally challenge the 10 elders of the Blood River sect. Do you dare to accept the challenge?" Chapter 288. Longao challenged the 10 great elders of the Blood Sea sect? Hearing Longao's challenge, everyone was dumbfounded. None of them could believe it. Longao was fighting 1 against 10. There was no need to fight. Everyone could already guess the result. Big brother Dugu, is brother Long crazy? Waving his hand, Dugu Bai's face was also very serious. According to my understanding of brother Long, he shouldn't be so reckless. Looks like brother Long is very confident. I look forward to brother Long's counterattack. Counterattack? Hearing Dugu Bai's words, Xia Jun smiled bitterly. Although he was very confident in Longao, there was a limit to everything. 1 against 10, and the opponents were 10 venerables. Could Longao really win against 10 venerables? On the other side, Ghost King Ao Tian also stared at the young man in the distance. His expression was unpredictable. He was very clear that as long as he attacked now, Longao wouldn't die. But why did he do this? In the end, Ao Tian didn't want his daughter to marry Longao. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done so many things to stop it. Ha ha ha, I've seen arrogant people, but I've never seen someone as arrogant as you. All right, I accept your challenge on behalf of the 10 great elders. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Guanfeng continued. The life and death battle between you and the 10 great elders will be set at the Boundless Blood Sea. The Boundless Blood Sea. Hearing Guanfeng mention the Boundless Blood Sea, the 10 great elders were all shocked. Master. Waving his hand, Guanfeng smiled and said, Longao, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. The Boundless Blood Sea is the forbidden area of the Blood Sea sect. Not to mention outsiders, even the sect's disciples are not allowed to enter. Longao didn't immediately agree, because he didn't know what kind of place the Boundless Blood Sea was. Longao already felt that it was very difficult to fight against 10 venerables. If he entered the Boundless Blood Sea, he would lose the geographical advantage. Wouldn't he be in a very passive position? Longao did not have the advantage of time, place, and people. Guanfeng laughed disdainfully and said, Longao, there is no need to be afraid. Now that the 5 great sects are all here, my Blood Sea sect will not cheat you. Longao knew that if he continued to be wishy-washy, there would be no need for this battle to begin. All right, this battle shall take place on the Boundless Blood Sea. Immediately after, Guanfeng led the 10 great elders towards the Blood Sea peak, while Longao followed closely behind. Guanfeng also gave the order that the people from the 5 great sects could go to the Blood Sea peak to watch the battle. The 5 sects were not afraid at all, even the Ghost King sect. Brother Long, are you really going to challenge the 10 great elders of the Blood Sea sect? Dugubai and Xia Jun's faces were filled with worry. Although the two of them were confident in Longao, the other side still had 10 venerables. If they were to work together, no one would be able to fight against the combined might of 10 venerables unless a prime were to personally come. Brother Dugu, Brother Xia, do you know what kind of place the boundless blood sea of the Blood Sea sect is? Seeing that Longao had already made up his mind, the two of them deeply sighed. They understood Longao too well. If Longao was a rational person, they believed that he would not have single-handedly killed his way into the Ghost King's sect to steal the bride. Brother Long, according to the rumors, the Boundless Blood Sea is a forbidden area of the Blood Sea sect. Ordinary disciples are unable to enter, unless they are the core disciples of the Blood Sea sect. Longao was very surprised. In the end, the Blood Sea sect's Boundless Blood Sea is a cultivation holy land. I'm also very puzzled as to why Guan Feng would set the location of the battle between you two at the Boundless Blood Sea sect. This does not bring any benefits to the Blood Sea sect. Not to mention Dugubai and Xia Jun, even Longao was somewhat curious. What kind of trick was Guan Feng playing? Brother Long, have you thought about it? Even if you can defeat the 10 sovereigns, the Blood Sea sect still has 3 supremes. How are you going to deal with them? He didn't know if the Fire Qilin already knew the strength of the Blood Sea sect, but it gave him exactly 3 drops of blood essence, just enough to deal with the 3 supremes. But Longao was even more clear that against the 10 sovereigns of the Blood Sea sect, he had to rely on his own strength. No matter what happened, he could not use the 3 drops of blood essence. Otherwise, he would not have any guarantee against the 3 supremes. No matter what, the Blood Sea sect must be destroyed. My Long family's hatred will be paid with blood. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. Hearing Longao's words, Dugubai and Xia Jun deeply sighed. It seemed that Longao had already decided to fight the Blood Sea sect to the death. Since the matter had already reached this point, Dugubai and Xia Jun did not continue to persuade him. Brother Long, as friends, Xiao Jun and I should have gone through life and death with you, but... Without waiting for Dugubai to finish his words, Longao had already waved his hand and stood on his side. He really did not want to implicate the two of them because everyone knew that with Dugubai and Xiao Jun's strength, once they helped him, only death would await them. Brother Dugu, Brother Xia, I already understand your intentions. I only have one thing to ask of you, and I hope you can agree to it. Brother Long, please say it. No matter what it is, as long as it's within our ability, we will definitely do it. Dugubai and Xia Jun already felt deeply guilty that they did not face life and death with Longao. If they couldn't even do what Longao asked of them, then they really did not deserve to be friends. If anything happens to me, please help me take care of Aoshue, and help me find Yuyin. Please! His family had already been destroyed. In this world, there were only 2 people that Longao was most worried about. The first was Aoshue, and the second was Yuyin. Longao did not have full confidence in fighting against the 10 venerables of the Blood Sea sect. It was better to be safe than sorry. If he unfortunately fell, at least Dugubai and Xia Jun could take care of Aoshue and Yuyin. Brother Long, please rest assured. Even if we die, we will take care of Aoshue and Yuyin for you. Xia Jun deeply sighed and said, Brother Long, when the Ghost King sect and Blood Sea sect fight to the death, I will definitely avenge you, even if I die. No matter what Dugubai and Xia Jun said, it was already enough for them to say such words. Brother Long, you must be careful when fighting against the 10 venerables. As friends, Longao naturally knew that Dugubai and Xia Jun were very worried about him. It was just that for some reason, they could not help him. But no matter what, with someone taking care of Aoshue and Yuyin for him, he could die without any worries. The only thing Longao felt regretful about was that Long Jing was possessed by an evil spirit. He had let down Long Patian. If there was a next life, he would definitely return this favor to Long Patian. All right, I'll survive. Under the worried gazes of Dugubai and Xia Jun, Longao quickened his steps and followed closely behind Guan Feng and the 10 elders. Chapter 289. Boundless Blood Sea, the forbidden area of the Blood Sea sect. The Blood Sea sect had a rule that without the sect's permission, ordinary disciples were not allowed to enter. Even the core disciples needed the sect's permission to enter. According to the rumors, the Boundless Blood Sea sect was a holy land for cultivation. The heaven and earth spiritual chi was twice as abundant as the outside world. Because of this, the 5 great sects and Longao could not understand why Guan Feng would choose this place to fight. The Boundless Blood Sea was a gigantic valley. It was extremely huge. The entire valley was filled with heaven and earth's spiritual chi. In the middle of the valley was a huge pool of blood that was constantly churning. Above the pool of blood was a huge training field that could hold up to 100 people. According to Guan Feng, Longao and the 10 sovereigns were going to have a life and death battle at the training field. Once they relaxed and fell into the pool of blood, they would immediately turn into blood. Longao, I'll give you one last chance. As long as you kneel down and join the Blood Sea sect, I can let this matter go. How about it? Idiot. Without waiting for Guan Feng to get angry, Longao suddenly said loudly, I, Longao, officially challenge the 10 of you. Do you dare to accept? Longao, don't be arrogant. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let me, old fatty, take care of you. Guan Feng had already left the training field. Among the 10 sovereigns, a figure suddenly shot out. His bloated body looked like it was about to collapse. His head was too fat, and his facial features could not be seen clearly. Old Fatty was the weakest of the 10 sovereigns. Among the 10 sovereigns, Old Fatty was a beginner sovereign. The remaining 9 sovereigns were 3 middle sovereigns, 3 high sovereigns, and 3 peak sovereigns. Although Longao wanted to fight 1 against 10, the 10 sovereigns did not want to bully him with numbers. Even if they won in the end, they would be laughed at by the world. Because of this, Old Fatty took the initiative to attack. If Old Fatty could kill Longao, then the Blood Sea sect's face would be back. Longao, I want to see what you have to be so arrogant. 10 moves. What 10 moves? Old Fatty seemed to have yet to react, but the other 9 venerables and the others had already reacted. Instantly, they exploded. He's too arrogant. Hearing the discussions around him, Old Fatty's face instantly became gloomy. He angrily said, You motherfasterous cur, how dare you humiliate me? You don't need 10 moves, I will settle you in 9. In his fury, Old Fatty's body has already rushed out. Both of them were venerable ones, so their auras were almost the same. Unless Longao used the universe's aura, he would not gain the slightest advantage by releasing his aura. However, Longao did not plan to use the chi of heaven and earth. Old Fatty was the weakest venerable among the 10 of them. If he used it now, wouldn't the others know? Longao wasn't stupid. A trump card would only be effective at the most crucial moment. In close combat, the 2 of them chose the most direct and violent way of fighting. Both of them said that one said 10 moves, and the other said that he could settle it in 9. Everyone was looking forward to this battle because only by defeating this person would Longao have the qualifications to challenge the remaining venerables. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have a chance, let alone deal with the entire Blood Sea sect. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were already wrestling. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Was this a battle between venerables? It was like a fight between children. However, no one dared to underestimate the 2 of them because everyone knew that the stronger one was, the more dangerous this kind of close combat was. If one was careless, one would be beaten to death by the other party. It was precisely because of this that this battle was particularly soul-stirring. On the blood pool martial field, Longao and Old Fatty's bodies fiercely collided with each other. Punches and kicks flew all over the sky. Even if they were hit or kicked by the other party, the 2 of them ignored the pain on their bodies. F*CK, This is F** King close combat. What are the two of them trying to do? No one knew what the two of them were trying to do. Anyway, the two of them were fighting in close combat. Their fists were fiercely smashing everywhere. Every punch and kick was full of strength. In close combat, it seemed like 10 or 20 moves had passed, but in reality, only one move had passed. Regardless of whether it was Longao or Old Fatty, they were both genuine venerables of the void. Therefore, the fists and feet that they threw out were ever-changing. One move contained hundreds or even thousands of moves. It was precisely because of this that the close combat between the two of them was particularly dangerous. You want to fight with me in close combat? You're still far from it. I'm known as the invincible iron armor. Longao didn't say any more nonsense. His eyes were cold. The first move was just to test the opponent's strength. The main event had just begun. The Dragon God's arm and the Tiger God's arm were successfully merged at the same time. Longao didn't hesitate to throw out a punch. One punch contained hundreds of punches. It was ever-changing. There were fist shadows everywhere, as if they had formed a fist shadow air shield. Old Fatty didn't put Longao in his eyes from the beginning to the end. He also threw out a punch. However, this time, Old Fatty had obviously underestimated his opponent. The two of them smashed together violently. Fist energy shot out in all directions. The spectators were shocked. The venerables weren't afraid, but those below the venerables hurriedly dodged. They didn't dare to stop for a moment. Otherwise, they would definitely be killed by the venerables' fist energy. This was the power of the venerables. Old Fatty was sent flying by the punch. However, he relied on his powerful strength to withstand it. Because the fist shadows were flying everywhere, no one saw that Old Fatty was almost sent flying. However, Old Fatty's face was filled with shock. This was because he had never thought that the punch from his opponent would be so powerful. If he hadn't neutralized the force in time, he believed that he would have been sent flying by the punch. Old Fatty put away his contempt. At this moment, a dazzling light suddenly rose from his body. Seeing this light, everyone from the Blood River sect had a serious expression. This was because they knew what Old Fatty's sudden burst of dazzling light represented. Black tortoise armor. Looks like Old Fatty used his full strength. It seems like Longao is giving him a lot of pressure. Guanfeng nodded. He also didn't think that Longao could force Old Fatty to use the black tortoise armor in 2 moves. This in itself already proved something. The black tortoise armor. Back then, Old Fatty accidentally hunted a black tortoise. It was said that its defense was comparable to the Dragon God. The black tortoise armor was extremely strong. Even a venerables couldn't break through Old Fatty's black tortoise armor. This was also the reason why Old Fatty was the most difficult to deal with, even though his strength was the lowest. It was because of this black tortoise armor. Longao obviously knew that the armor that suddenly appeared on Old Fatty's body was definitely not simple. Chapter 290. Longao, I'll let you experience my black tortoise armor. Before Longao could react, Old Fatty's body had already dashed out. Not daring to be careless, Longao fiercely punched out with both fists. However, Old Fatty did not choose to dodge. He took the Dragon God arm and Tiger God arm head on. Pun pun. The sound of copper colliding rang out. Longao realized that ever since Old Fatty took out the black tortoise armor, even if he stood still, it would not be a problem for him to hit him. What a terrifying black tortoise armor! Longao finally understood why Old Fatty was so confident. Ha ha ha, you want to break my black tortoise armor? You're not qualified. Old Fatty laughed as he attacked. In this way, Longao seemed to be in a passive position, being suppressed by Old Fatty step by step. Seeing this situation, Guanfeng and the others laughed. They were very confident in Old Fatty's black tortoise armor. With its strong defense, Longao could only move around and take the hits. In the blink of an eye, 5 moves had passed. Longao did not have the slightest bit of carelessness. His fists were still fiercely punching out, each punch stronger than the previous. However, Old Fatty's black tortoise armor was too strong. No matter how Longao used his strength, he was still unable to break it. Could it be that he could not even take care of a venerable? Longao knew that if he could not even defeat Old Fatty, then not to mention the 3 venerables of the Blood Sea sect, the 9 venerables, he could leave now. The enmity of his family was absolutely irreconcilable. Longao could not choose to give up. Since he could not defeat Old Fatty in a head-on clash, he could only stake it all. Longao was still fiercely punching Old Fatty. Old Fatty did not dodge at all. Instead, he used the black tortoise armor to block and punch back. Soul-subduing seal, underworld-burning seal, and heaven-burying seal were used consecutively. Longao hoped to use the destruction seal to corrode Old Fatty's soul before breaking his black tortoise armor. He had to admit that the destruction seal was very powerful. Old Fatty's face suddenly froze. He realized that in his mind, there was a strange power that was corroding his soul. What exactly happened? Not daring to be careless, Old Fatty immediately diverted his power to destroy this power. This way, Old Fatty's attack power was reduced by a lot. He was overjoyed. Longao did not let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Punch after punch, he viciously smashed his opponent. He already knew that his opponent's black tortoise armor was powerful. Longao specifically targeted Old Fatty's other areas. He did not believe that he could not smash Old Fatty to death. Around the blood pool, everyone saw that Old Fatty was only defending and not attacking. They were all shocked. They didn't know what was wrong with Old Fatty. Was he going easy on Longao? Master, what happened to Old Fatty? Guanfeng was the most talented master in the history of the Blood Sea sect. He was not even 50 years old, but he had already successfully broken through to the sovereign realm. Therefore, Guanfeng's position in the Blood Sea sect was very high. It could be said that he meant what he said. Old Fatty seems to be in trouble. I heard that Longao has 2 treasures that can change the flow of time. It seems like Longao has changed the flow of time in Old Fatty. Master, in this battle of the 9 states, we sent a void spirit to kill souls. It seems like we failed. Humph, that idiot Huatang. Thinking of this, Guanfeng was furious. He thought that the Blazing Flame sect would ally with other sects, but he never expected that the Blazing Flame sect would choose the Ghost King sect. Master, what should we do now? Everyone could see that in the battle between Old Fatty and Longao, Old Fatty was suppressed everywhere. He was forced to retreat step by Longao, as if he could be killed at any time. Waving his hand, Guanfeng said in a serious tone, "This is not the right time for you to make a move. Let's wait and see. Old Fatty has the black tortoise battle armor protecting him. It will not be easy for Longao to defeat Old Fatty." On the blood pool martial field, Longao successfully attacked Old Fatty, and his power began to erode Old Fatty's soul. Longao didn't give up on this opportunity. Both of his fists moved together, and one punch after another landed on Old Fatty's body like raindrops. Longao didn't give Old Fatty any chance to speak. At this moment, Old Fatty was depressed to the extreme. He couldn't figure out how his opponent did it. How could he erode his soul without making a sound? Just when Old Fatty was trying his best to resist the soul power that was invading his mind, Longao kicked Old Fatty's body to the ground. Without any hesitation, Longao released a soul attack. Under such circumstances, Old Fatty couldn't resist at all. With a scream, Old Fatty's body began to tremble. Longao didn't let go of such a rare opportunity. He flipped over and landed on Old Fatty's body. Punch after punch, he began to mercilessly smash Old Fatty. Black tortoise armor? Let's see if your armor is stronger or if my fist is stronger. Longao used the Dragon God's arm and the Tiger God's arm to mercilessly smash Old Fatty. At this moment, Old Fatty's soul was severely injured. He couldn't care less about Longao's attacks. He was trying his best to repair his soul. 1 punch. 2 punches. 3 punches. In the blink of an eye, Longao had already delivered over 100 punches. One fell to the ground, and the other was riding on Old Fatty's body. When the surrounding people saw this, they were completely dumbfounded. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Originally, they thought that Old Fatty could defeat Longao with the black tortoise armor. However, the situation changed. Not only did he fail, but he was also being mercilessly smashed by Longao. Everyone was dumbfounded by Longao's attacks. They were all stunned. Even if Longao won, the way he smashed Old Fatty made him look like a hooligan. It was a pain in the ass. However, Longao ignored everyone. So what if he was a hooligan? As long as he could defeat the enemy, it was fine. Just like that, Longao smashed Old Fatty as fast as he could, especially the black tortoise armor. He didn't believe that Old Fatty's black tortoise armor couldn't be smashed open. The Dragon God's arm and the Tiger God's arm mercilessly smashed. Longao used all his strength. By the time Guan Feng and the rest reacted, Longao had already smashed thousands of punches, causing the black tortoise armor to cave in. Kacha, kacha, kacha. At this moment, cracking sounds came from the black tortoise armor. Following that, the black tortoise armor shattered. However, Longao still ignored the people who were rushing over and continued to smash the armor. Without the slightest bit of mercy, Longao smashed Old Fatty's head with his fist. In an instant, he had delivered dozens of punches. A pair of arms that could even break the black tortoise armor, let alone a head. In the end, Longao smashed Old Fatty to death. By the time Guan Feng and the rest arrived, Old Fatty had already been smashed to death. Old Fatty's eyes were wide open, as if he died with a grievance. Until the moment of his death, Old Fatty still couldn't figure out how Longao did it. Chapter 291. Longao, you killed Old Fatty? Looking at Old Fatty, who was smashed to death on the ground, Guan Feng's face was gloomy to the extreme. Venerables were the most important existences to the Blood Sea sect. After all, there were only 10 of them in the entire Blood Sea sect. Guan Feng, I had a life and death battle with him. Do you want me to show mercy? If that's the case, then don't send out such trash. Longao's words were very arrogant, but in this situation, he did have the qualifications to be arrogant. To be able to smash a venerable wearing a black tortoise armor to death, this in itself already showed Longao's strength. Guan Feng was speechless. After all, he couldn't blame Old Fatty for this. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for being too arrogant. He originally thought that the other party had just advanced to the Venerable One realm, and had not stabilized his realm yet. Old Fatty alone was enough to kill Longao, but the result was the exact opposite. Not only did Old Fatty not kill Longao, but he was also smashed to death by the other party. Good, very good. Guan Feng turned around and said, Since Longao is so arrogant, the 9 of you attack together. Remember, don't kill him. I want him alive. If it was before, the 9 venerables would definitely not join hands to deal with a junior. After all, if this was spread out, they would be laughed to death. However, the situation was completely different now. The opponent's strength had deeply shocked them. There couldn't be the slightest mistake. The 9 venerables knew very well that Old Fatty had been smashed to death. If anything happened to the 9 of them, the Blood Sea sect would lose a lot of face. Longao returned to his position. As for Guan Feng, he had already left the martial arts field. No matter how angry Guan Feng was, the 5 great sects were watching from all sides. At the very least, he had to abide by the martial arts ethics. Otherwise, how could the Blood Sea sect compete with the Ghost King sect in the future? The 9 of you can come together. Longao didn't want to continue wasting time. If he fought them one by one, who knew how long it would take? In fact, The biggest reason why Longao chose the team battle was that once the 9 venerables took turns fighting him, he would be exhausted to death even if he could defeat all 9 of them in the end. This trip to the Blood Sea sect was not just for the 9 venerables. The enmity of his clan was irreconcilable. He had to destroy the entire Blood Sea sect before Longao would give up. "Since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish." Longao was so arrogant that he didn't even put the 9 venerables in his eyes. How could the 9 venerables endure this? It was simply unbearable. The secret cave could endure, but the chrysanthemum couldn't endure. "Big Brother Dugu, Brother Long's arms seem to be very strong." He was actually able to break through the black tortoise armor. Everyone present was an expert among experts. Of course, they could see how strong Longao's arms were. No matter what, Old Fatty's mystical tortoise battle armor's defensive power was very clear to everyone. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed that Xiaochen had broken the black tortoise armor with his bare hands. Although Brother Long smashed Old Fatty to death, but 1 against 9, I'm afraid. Although Xia Jun did not finish his words, the meaning in his words was already very clear. No matter what, Longao was only one person, but the other party had a total of 9 venerables. 1 against 9, the result could be imagined. Dugubai was very helpless. He bitterly smiled and said, "Brother Long always surprises me. I'm already used to it." Hearing Dugubai's words, Xia Jun also smiled. On the other side, seeing Longao smashing Old Fatty to death, Ghost King Ao Tian was also very surprised. Everything that happened to Longao already showed how strong his talent was. If Longao became a member of the Ghost King sect, wouldn't it mean that the Ghost King sect had another expert? Gradually, Ghost King Ao Tian's attitude towards Longao changed. No matter what, no one would refuse a genius to join. Moreover, this genius was someone that his daughter liked. Ghost King Ao Tian had already decided that as long as Longao could defeat the 9 venerables, then no matter what the Blood Sea sect did, he would protect Longao. 1 against 9. Longao and the 9 venerables looked at each other. Before the battle even started, the powerful auras from both sides fiercely clashed together. Sparks flew everywhere, and everyone took 3 steps back. The battle between the 10 venerables, just the auras alone, were extremely terrifying. At this time, Longao moved, striking first to gain the initiative. Seeing this situation, everyone was a little stunned, because they never thought that Longao would actually choose to take the initiative to attack in a situation of 1 against 9. Not to mention the others, even the 9 venerables did not think that Longao would take the initiative to attack. Their faces turned cold at the same time. Longao's arrogance was simply not putting them in his eyes. Kill. The 9 venerables moved together, like 9 small mountains moving quickly. Rumbling sounds could be heard, but Longao still chose to use both of his fists to attack randomly, and his speed was at its peak. However, the 9 venerables did not put Longao in their eyes at all. Each of them fiercely punched out. No matter how fast Longao's speed was, it was impossible for him to deal with 9 people. Just like this, Longao's fist shadows could only block 3 of the venerables. The remaining 6 venerables did not hesitate to attack Longao. A muffled groan. Longao only let out a muffled groan after being attacked by the venerables, but he did not retreat at all. He wanted to let the 9 venerables look down on him. This way, he would have a chance to deal with the 9 venerables and end the battle quickly. Longao clearly knew that he was facing 9 venerables at the same time. The longer the battle dragged on, the more powerless he would be. After being attacked by the 6 venerables for a while, Longao took out the God-sealing pearl and released a strange energy, enveloping the 9 venerables. Regardless of whether Longao's cultivation had broken through to the void realm or not, the spiritual energy in his body had already turned into spiritual yuan. Therefore, he used the God-sealing pearl to envelop the 9 venerables, directly locking them down. A terrifying scene appeared. The 9 venerables who were in a mess just a moment ago were suddenly frozen in place. They couldn't move at all. Only their eyeballs kept rolling around. Looking at the 9 venerables being locked down, Ao Tian, Guan Feng, Dugu Bai Xia Jun, and Xia Fang seemed to know what had happened. Could this be Long Ao's treasure? They had only heard of Long Ao's treasure, but had never seen it before. When they saw it for themselves, they were incomparably shocked. Locking down the opponent, even if it was only for 3 seconds, was enough to affect the outcome of the battle. Guan Feng's face was gloomy to the extreme. Black lines appeared on his face, but he did not go up in the end. No matter what, Long Ao was fighting 1 against 9. The Blood River sect had already lost a lot of face. Now that the battle had not officially ended, if he went up to deal with Long Ao, even if he could kill Long Ao, what face would he have left? What face would the Blood River sect have left? Chapter 292. In the end, Guan Feng didn't make a move. Being locked onto by the other party, the 9 venerables were shocked to the extreme. They tried their best to break free. Long Ao calculated and calculated, but he was wrong. If it was a one-on-one fight, he believed that the God Sealing Pearl could lock onto any venerables for 3 seconds. But to lock onto 9 venerables for 3 seconds at the same time was almost impossible. The 9 venerables broke free at the same time. In just 1 second, the 9 venerables broke free. The lock was broken. Long Ao's heart sank. He never thought that with his current strength, he wouldn't be able to lock onto the 9 venerables for 3 seconds. Long Ao had full confidence that if he could use the God Sealing Pearl to lock onto the 9 venerables, even if he could only lock onto them for 3 seconds, he could kill at least 4 venerables in one go. All of this was broken, but Long Ao didn't just sit there and wait for death. With the lock broken, Long Ao once again used the God-punishing mirror. With the 2 sides of the mirror, he directly used the reverse flow of the yin side to change the flow of time. At the same time, the 9 venerables discovered that their speed was slower by a full 3 seconds. What kind of concept was this? The 9 venerables were completely stunned. First, their bodies were locked onto, then the flow of time was changed. They were 3 seconds slower, and the 9 of them had no idea what was happening. The God-punishing mirror changed the flow of time. 3 seconds. The flow of time around the 9 great venerables changed, and the speed slowed down by 3 seconds. This also meant that Long Ao's speed would increase by 3 seconds. For a life-and-death battle between venerables, 3 seconds was often enough to determine the outcome of life and death. However, Long Ao didn't choose to fight in close combat. Long Ao had already calculated. Even if he chose to fight in close combat, he could at most kill 3 venerables. Then, what about the remaining 6 venerables? Fighting 1 against 6, Long Ao still didn't have full confidence that he could kill 6 venerables in a short time. It was because of this that Long Ao used the God-punishing mirror to change the flow of time around the 9 venerables. Then, he chose to use a soul attack. Using a soul attack to attack the 9 venerables at the same time, there was a high chance of a backlash. After all, if Long Ao wanted to attack the 9 venerables at the same time, he would have to split his soul into 9 parts and attack at the same time. One divided into 9 and attacked at the same time. Long Ao was even more aware that he had chosen to attack the 9 venerables with his soul at the same time. If he suffered a backlash, the consequences would be unimaginable. Before Long Ao could launch his soul attack, the 9 supremacies had already broken through the flow of time and returned to their normal speed. Startled, Long Ao never imagined that his God-punishing mirror and God-sealing pearl would not be able to display the power they should have. Not daring to be careless, the wild devouring blade instantly appeared in his hand. Then, he ruthlessly slashed at the 9 people. Long Ao instantly superimposed the first 4 styles of blood drinking 8 styles. At the same time that the saber light slashed down, Long Ao's body also darted over. He targeted a Venerable One and directly punched him with both fists without caring about anything else. The Divine Dragon arm and the Nether Tiger arm punched out as fast as lightning. One punch after another, the fist force was like a tornado, not giving the Venerable a chance to catch his breath. When the other 8 Venerables saw Longao attack, they were enraged and rushed over separately. In everyone's opinion, as long as the 8 Venerables arrived, Longao would definitely choose to give up. But what was the result? Longao, who had already put away his wild devouring blade, completely ignored the attacks of the 8 Venerables. His fists were still fiercely smashing at the Venerable One. Speaking of which, this Venerable One could be considered to be extremely tragic. He could not understand why Longao would not smash others, but only him. Brother Long is only attacking and not defending. This cannot continue. Big Brother Dugu, what is the meaning of this? Hearing Dugubai's words, Xia Jun was very tempted. Dugubai's voice was extremely solemn as he said, Brother Long knows that it will be difficult for him to win against 9. So, Brother Long chose to only attack and not defend, not leaving himself any way out. Xia Jun was also a martial artist, and a powerful one at that. Of course, he knew what Dugubai meant. Only attacking and not defending, not leaving himself any way out, killing his way out from a hopeless situation. In other words, Longao was already prepared, either you die or I die. I can't do what Brother Long did. I cannot do it either. Ghost King Aotian's eyes were fixed on the battle in the distance. Aotian did not seem to have expected Longao to only attack and not defend, wanting to kill his way out from the attacks. Only attacking and not defending looked very powerful, but Aotian was very clear in his heart that if it was a one-on-one situation, Longao could definitely win. But now, in a 1-against-9 situation, Longao only attacked and did not defend. If he was careless, even if he could kill 1 or 2 people, he would definitely be killed by the remaining people. Talent, strength, character, calmness, Longao's performance at this moment was very tempting to Aotian. There were several times when he wanted to make a move, but in the end, he restrained himself. Aotian was not a fool. Of course, he knew that if he made a move to help Longao, then Guan Feng would definitely help the 9 Venerables. This way, it would not be a battle between Longao and the Blood Sea sect, but a battle between the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect. The Ghost King sect was not afraid of the Blood Sea sect at all. But no matter what, this was still the Blood Sea sect's headquarters. The Blood Sea sect had 3 Venerables. Once the battle started, the one who would suffer in the end would be the Ghost King sect. Moreover, Aotian still wanted to see Longao's performance. He was very much looking forward to seeing Longao only attack and not defend, and how he would kill his way out from the massacre. Zhang Mo's face grew colder and colder as he watched the battle on the training field. This was because he had never imagined that in just a few months, Longao had not only broken through to the Nihility Catastrophe realm, but even reached the Nihility Sovereign realm. What did this cultivation speed mean? Now, Zhang Mo already knew that his son was indeed not killed by Longao, but as for who the murderer was, he still had not found out. But Zhang Mo knew that no matter what, his son's death was related to Longao. It was because of this that Zhang Mo clenched his fists tightly, and his face was extremely gloomy. This time, when the 6 sects started the battle, before Zhang Mo could deal with Longao, the Blood Sea sect was one step ahead of him and destroyed the Scarlet Fire Town's Long family. Before he could react, Longao had already killed his way to the Blood Sea sect alone. Although he was somewhat unwilling in his heart, Zhang Mo knew that no matter what happened today, it was almost impossible for Longao to leave the Blood Sea sect. No matter what, Longao's death, no matter who killed him, would only be good for Zhang Mo and not bad. In the 5 great sects, some people hoped that Longao would die, while some didn't. But regardless of whether they hoped for him or not, everyone knew that Longao had killed his way to the Blood Sea sect alone. There was only one result: death. Chapter 293. On the Blood Pool Martial Arts Field. Longao simply ignored the attacks of the 8 great venerables and used all his strength to smash the venerables that he recognized. Punch after punch, there was no gap at all. Longao, you're courting death. Seeing Longao only attacking and not defending, smashing the other party with all his might, the 8 great venerables were all shocked. They all thought that Longao's brain had water in it. Both sides would suffer. Longao's intention was simple. He wanted to kill his opponent even if he had to risk being injured by the 8 supremacies. Because of that, the 8 supremacies sped up. They attacked from all 4 directions at the same time. Longao had no chance to escape. You! Without waiting for this venerable to finish speaking, Longao's merciless fists had already ruthlessly smashed on this venerable's face. His fists covered the sky and covered the earth. His fists were like raindrops, unceasingly and unceasingly. In a short few seconds, this venerable was smashed no less than several hundred fists. Dragon Tiger fists. Longao channeled all the energy in his body and threw out the last punch. However, the 8 supremacies had already closed in from all directions. The situation was right in front of them. If Longao gave up and continued to throw punches, he believed that he could escape. However, if Longao did not give up and insisted on doing so, there would only be one outcome. Both sides would suffer. What would Longao choose? Everyone was curious. They wanted to know what choice Longao would make. Would he give up the attack and choose to dodge temporarily? Or would he choose to continue attacking and cause both sides to suffer? Although Guan Feng did not want to lose the supremacies, it would be worth it if a supremacies could exchange for Longao's life. If it was in the past, Guan Feng would definitely not be willing to lose the supremacies in exchange for Longao's life. However, after seeing Longao's talent and strength, Guan Feng was very wary of Longao. With Longao's talent and potential, it was hard to imagine how strong he would be once he grew up. Guan Feng could not gamble on Longao's growth, nor did he dare to gamble. If he lost, not only himself, but the entire Blood Sea sect would be in trouble. It was precisely because of this that Guan Feng hoped to lose a venerable one. He only wanted to deal with Longao. The 8 venerables didn't know what choice Longao would make. Would he choose to make both sides suffer, or would he choose to temporarily retreat? Just as everyone thought that Longao would choose to dodge, Longao's actions completely shocked everyone. In the end, Longao chose to continue attacking. But Longao was no fool. He certainly wouldn't throw away his life for nothing. As he continued to attack, he also used the God Sealing Bead and God Judgment Mirror at the same time. Two strange forces spread out, instantly enveloping the 8 venerables. Then, the 8 venerables were locked in place. Even the flow of time was changed, slowing down their speed by 3 seconds. Longao was full of confidence. As long as he locked in place and reversed the flow of time for a second, he would have full confidence in killing the venerables in front of him. With their bodies locked in place and their speed slowed down, the 8 venerables naturally knew what was going on. Seizing this rare opportunity, Longao didn't hesitate. He continued to chase after the venerables and fiercely punched out with his fists. The venerables were completely scared out of their wits. He didn't expect that Longao would be so reckless. He even chose to make both sides suffer in order to kill him. Was there something wrong with his head? Why did he choose him? The venerables were depressed to the extreme. He really couldn't understand why Lin Fan chose him. What did he do wrong? Just as the venerables were about to resist with all their might, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his soul. It was as if countless sharp swords had pierced into his soul. Under such circumstances, the venerable's state of mind was completely messed up. Moreover, the venerables didn't expect that Lin Fan would choose to use a soul attack. As the most powerful martial skill, not everyone knew how to use a soul attack. Longao was overjoyed that his soul attack had successfully damaged the venerable's soul. Without the slightest hesitation, Longao directly began to smash. The divine dragon arm and the hell tiger arm intertwined and smashed randomly. One punch after another, the fist force ruthlessly smashed on the opponent's body at the same time. The fist force also followed the opponent's body. The Venerables couldn't resist at all when their soul and body were attacked at the same time. He fell to the ground and couldn't get up. Until he died, he didn't understand why Longao chose him. After successfully killing a Venerables, Longao turned around and shot in another direction. Before he arrived, the fist force had already arrived. Seeing that his elder was killed, the Venerables didn't dare to be careless. They instinctively dodged. Longao had already left quickly and escaped from the encirclement of the 8 Venerables. After breaking the lock-on and time reversal, the 8 Venerables didn't continue to attack. They just stood there in a daze, looking at the corpse on the ground. Not only the 8 Venerables, but everyone else was also stunned. No one had expected such an outcome. Under the encirclement of the 8 Venerables, not only did Longao manage to break out, he even killed the Venerables. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, would they believe it? Longao's counterattack made everyone reevaluate Longao. Brother Long didn't disappoint me. With such strength, he can look down on everyone below the Supreme Being level. Xiaju nodded. He sighed at Brother Dugu's words. It was hard to imagine that Longao could really kill a Venerables under the joint attack of 9 Venerables. They lost another Venerables? In addition to Old Fatty, in just a few minutes the Blood Sea sect had already lost 2 Venerables. This was undoubtedly a huge blow to the Blood Sea sect. Guanfeng seemed to be unable to accept it. He said in a deep voice, "Go all out and kill Longao." Just a moment ago, Guanfeng said that he wanted to capture Longao alive. But after losing another Venerables, Guanfeng couldn't take it anymore. The Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect were fighting for dominance in the Tianzhou. Every Venerables that they lost meant that the Blood Sea sect had less chances. At this moment, Guanfeng's heart was filled with anger. If he could, he wanted to do it himself. Guanfeng was a supreme being. He wasn't someone that Venerables could compare to. But Guanfeng couldn't do it. 10 Venerables teamed up to deal with Longao. This was already a loss of face for the Blood Sea sect. If he did it himself, the Blood Sea sect would be laughed at by the world. The 8 Venerables looked at the corpse on the ground and ordered the disciples of the Blood Sea sect to carry the corpse away. The 8 Venerables glared at Longao. Among them, the strongest one, Chao Chong, said in a deep voice, "Longao, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. I will make you suffer the most painful torment in the world until you die. Your crimes are unforgivable. Thank you, Blood Sea sect, for letting me understand a principle. The winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit." Chapter 294. The winner takes all. Do you think you've won? The faces of Chao Chong and the others were extremely gloomy and murderous. They wanted nothing more than to kill Longao and tear him into pieces. Ha ha ha! Since I can kill a venerable one and a second one, I can kill all of you. With just you? Before Chao Chong could finish speaking, Longao's body moved again. He still chose to take the initiative to attack. This time, Longao directly chose to use a soul attack. He split into 8, and the 8 soul powers chose to attack the 8 Venerables. However, the result was the same. It was useless. If Longao attacked a venerable one with all his strength, his soul attack might succeed. However, once he split into 8, his power was greatly reduced, and he could not cause any harm to the 8 Venerables. Longao had already guessed this, so he was not discouraged at all. At the same time that both fists smashed out fiercely, Longao's hands began to form seals. However, the extermination seal that Longao used this time was clearly much stronger than the soul-suppressing seal, burning underworld seal, and heaven-burying seal. The 4th seal of the destruction seal was the doomsday seal. There were a total of 18 seals in the destruction seal. Long Fu had only taught Longao the first 4 seals. They were the soul-suppressing seal, inferno-burning seal, heaven-burying seal, and doomsday seal. After successfully breaking through to the venerable realm, Longao could barely use the doomsday seal. When the doomsday seal was used, the 8 venerables felt their vision turn black as if the end of the world had arrived. Before the 8 venerables could react, Longao's figure moved. He punched out with both fists at the fastest speed. Each of them received a punch. The 8 punches hit the 8 venerables accurately. Although the doomsday seal was extremely powerful, it could only last for a limited time when facing 8 venerables at the same time. In other words, Longao could not kill 8 venerables at the same time. That was why Longao chose to focus his attacks on one point. The 8 venerables each punched. Then, when Longao punched the last venerable, he attacked with all his might. Longao once again chose to use a soul attack in order to hit the target. A blood-curdling scream was heard. Then, Longao smashed the supremacy ruthlessly. Because he used too much force, Longao's fists landed one punch after another. With a groan, the 7 venerable ones were all punched by Longao. They did not even have time to react, let alone help the other venerable one. The venerable one endured the damage to his soul and wanted to counterattack, but he was held back by Longao. Longao did not give the venerable any chance to retaliate. His fists continued to smash. The divine dragon arm and hell tiger arm intertwined, moving up and down at the same time. In just a few seconds, the venerable one was punched thousands of times by Longao. His entire chest caved in. Even when he was smashed to the ground, Longao did not choose to give up and continued to smash with his fists. Cruel and violent. At this moment, Longao seemed to have turned into a homicidal maniac. He clearly knew that the other party was already smashed to death by him, but he still waved his fists and landed one punch after another on the venerable one's body and head. The entire boundless blood sea was silent. Only the sound of punches could be heard. Seeing Longao smashing the corpse ruthlessly, everyone was moved. Even the 7 venerables were stunned on the spot. They did not know what happened to Longao. Brother Long's mind has changed. If we don't stop it in time, I'm afraid Brother Long will be occupied by killing and become a complete killing machine. Hearing this, Xia Jun was shocked. He asked impatiently, Brother Dugu, what should we do now? I don't know. Actually, Dugubai knew very well that the reason Longao was occupied by killing was because his family was destroyed by the Blood Sea sect. Endless anger and hatred could only turn into killing in the end. Longao, stop! Seeing Longao smashing the elder with his fists, the 7 venerables were completely enraged. Their own comrade was smashed to death in front of their eyes. This kind of humiliation was simply unbearable. Longao suddenly stood up and coldly looked at the 7 venerables in front of him. His voice sounded like it came from hell as he coldly said, All of you will die. The venerable one on the ground had already turned into a pig's head. His entire body had swelled to 3 times its original size. It was impossible to tell that he was a human, he was completely a sow. A venerable one being smashed to such a state, just thinking about it made them shudder. Being stared at by the other party, for some reason, the 7 venerables could not help but shiver. Longao, with just you? Although they were unwilling to admit it, they had to admit that at this moment, Chao Chang's confidence was clearly lacking. If Old Fatty's defeat was an accident, then what about the other 2 venerables? Could it be an accident as well? The 7 venerables knew very well that the black-clothed, white-haired young man in front of them was far stronger than them. Even if they were unwilling to admit it, the 7 of them still deeply sighed. The 7 venerables were already a little dissatisfied with the master's actions. The battle between the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King's sect had already caused the Blood Sea sect to be in a passive position. But now, the master was going to destroy someone's family for no reason. Not to mention Longao, if it was them, they would have done the same. If it was an ordinary person, they would have done it. But the other party was such a murderous god, a murderous demon who had killed 3 venerables in a row. Was it really worth it for the sect to do this? If today's matter was done in secret, then if the Blood Sea sect wanted to kill Longao, it would simply be a matter of minutes. No matter what, the Blood Sea sect had a total of 3 sovereigns. Any one of them that came out was not something that Longao could contend against. But now, the 5 great sects were watching. If the 3 venerables were to take action, the Blood Sea sect would be thoroughly humiliated. Therefore, unless it was a last resort, the 3 venerables would not take action. Next, you! Even if Chao Chong was afraid, after being humiliated by Longao, he was instantly enraged and shouted, "Kill!" Then, the 7 venerables rushed up again. This time, the 7 venerables had learned their lesson. They did not split up at all, but attacked together. Doomsday Seal. Longao once again used the Doomsday Seal, but this time, the 7 venerables were already prepared. They closed their eyes and instantly opened them. Only their minds shook for a moment. Then, the 7 venerables continued to attack. Without the slightest bit of surprise, Longao turned around and quickly left. Just as the 7 venerables were chasing after him with all their might, Longao turned around and slashed with his blade. A shocking blade light instantly slashed down. If he had not dodged in time, this slash would have killed another venerables. The 7 venerables were shocked, and they were furious to the extreme. In front of all the people of the 5 major sects, the 10 of them had joined forces, and 3 venerables were killed consecutively. This kind of humiliation had reached the extreme. If they didn't kill Longao, the humiliation would definitely escalate. Chapter 295. It was a great humiliation. Longao had killed 3 sovereigns in a row. It was a great humiliation for the Blood River sect. Because of this, the 7 sovereigns chased after Longao and swore to kill him to save the sect's face. However, Longao seemed to have changed his temperament. This time, he didn't choose to take the initiative to attack. Instead, he blindly dodged. You chase, I run. No matter how angry the 7 sovereigns were, Longao relied on speed and time reversal for 3 seconds. Even if the 7 sovereigns used all their strength, they still wouldn't be able to catch up to Longao. Inside the Dragon Seal space. The reason why Longao didn't choose to fight the 7 sovereigns head-on was because at this time, Long Fu urgently summoned him. He was very curious. Longao simply did not know why Long Fu would choose to summon him at this time. After all, the current him was in the middle of a life-and-death battle with the Blood Sea sect. If he relaxed even a little, he would fall into a state of eternal damnation. Long Fu, what's the matter? Master, the 3 souls you sent in just now, I've already refined them into soul slaves. And? Longao didn't react for a moment. When he truly understood, his face was filled with disbelief. Long Fu, is this true? And? Longao was extremely shocked. Because according to Long Fu's previous refining time, even if he could refine a soul slave quickly, it would still take 3 days. But now, it didn't even take 3 minutes. As if he could see the doubt in Longao's heart, Long Fu said, Master, this time, I've tried my best to refine a soul slave. So in a short period of time, I won't be able to refine a soul slave or corpse slave for you. Longao instantly understood the meaning of Long Fu's actions. Under normal circumstances, Long Fu would need at least 3 days to refine a sovereign soul slave. But now, in order to help him, Long Fu had shortened 3 days to 3 minutes. He would definitely have to pay a price. Long Fu had already mentioned that the price of refining 3 Martial Highness Realm soul slaves was that he would not be able to refine more soul slaves and corpse slaves for a short period of time. Under normal circumstances, Longao would never agree. However, the current situation was different. 3 venerable realm soul slaves were like charcoal in the snow to him. Thank you? Longao didn't stay in the Dragon Seal space for long. Moreover, there were still 7 venerables chasing after him outside. Longao, aren't you very arrogant? Why don't you dare to stop and fight us? Before Chao Chong could finish his words, Longao's body abruptly came to a halt, giving the 7 venerables a fright. Before the 7 venerables could react, 3 souls appeared out of nowhere and attacked the 7 venerables. Old Fatty and the other 2 venerable souls? Looking at the 3 souls that suddenly appeared, the 7 venerables were completely dumbfounded. Everyone was completely stunned. Even Guanfeng was a little shocked. No one knew why the souls of the 3 venerables that had already fallen would suddenly appear and attack the 7 venerables. Without giving the 7 venerables any chance to react, the 3 venerable soul slaves had already fiercely attacked. Not only did the strength of the 3 venerables not weaken, it actually increased by a lot. Moreover, the 3 venerables had undying bodies. No matter how the 7 venerables attacked, the 3 primal chaos couldn't be killed. Because of this, the 7 venerables were even more shocked. Especially when they saw the souls of the 3 venerables attacking them. Just what was going on? It was as if they had seen a ghost. No one had ever seen such a scene. The souls of the venerables that had already fallen suddenly resurrected for no reason and even attacked the venerables of the Blood Sea sect. This was simply unheard of. No matter how shocked they were, the 7 venerables and everyone else clearly knew that the 3 venerable souls were resurrected and attacked the venerables of the Blood Sea sect. It was Longao's doing. It was precisely because of this that everyone was guessing one after another how Longao did it. When Ghost King Ao Tian saw that Longao could resurrect the souls of the dead, he was originally hesitating. But now, he instantly decided to protect Longao no matter what. Ao Tian only knew one thing, and that was that Longao was not simple. Ao Tian, you want to be impudent in my Blood Sea sect? Before Ao Tian could do anything, Guanfeng coldly said from the side. Now that the Ghost King sect and the Blood Sea sect were like fire and water, how could Guanfeng not pay attention to Ghost King Ao Tian's appearance in the Blood Sea sect? Therefore, before Ao Tian made a move, Guanfeng was already on full alert. Guanfeng, I must take Longao away. Ha ha ha, Ao Tian, are you joking with me? Guanfeng suddenly laughed out loud, as if he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. You want to take Longao away from the Blood Sea sect? Where would the Blood Sea sect's face be? Who would take care of the 3 fallen venerables? Today, Longao caused a ruckus in the Blood Sea sect. Not only did he kill the 3 venerables of the Blood Sea sect, he also caused the Blood Sea sect to lose face. If Longao left safely, the Blood Sea sect would not need to continue fighting with the Ghost King sect. They could just withdraw. Ghost King Ao Tian also thought of this point. After careful consideration, he decided to protect Longao. The 2 old foxes each had their own ulterior motives. Now, their target was Longao. One wanted to kill, the other wanted to protect. The 2 of them stared at each other, as if a battle could break out at any time. Guanfeng, you are not my opponent. Ao Tian, if the 3 of us work together, killing you is a matter of minutes. Why don't you try? The fact that the Blood Sea sect had 3 venerables was no longer a secret. The Ghost King sect also had 3 venerables. However, the problem now was that the other 2 venerables of the Ghost King sect had not appeared. Because of this, Ao Tian was very clear that once he attacked, the other 2 venerables would definitely appear. At that time, he would have to fight against 3 venerables. How could he resist the joint attack of 3 venerables? Although he was very confident in his own strength, Ao Tian would not fight a battle that he was not confident in. Guanfeng, your Blood Sea sect is really shameless. 10 against 1. With such a sect, even if you become the overlord of the sky region in the future, will the world obey you? No need for this. Longao will definitely die today. No one can change this result. Ao Tian, the grudge between you and me, we will settle it later. You and me fight. If you win, the Blood Sea sect will withdraw. If I win, the Ghost King's sect will withdraw. Idiot. Of course, Ao Tian would not agree to such a thing. Even if his strength far exceeded Guan Feng's, this was still the territory of the Blood Sea sect. Who knew if Guan Feng would play any tricks? Ao Tian had never fought a battle that he had no confidence in. This was true in the past, and this was even more true now. Hearing the other party's rejection, Guan Feng's face instantly turned cold. He had secretly decided that after dealing with Longao, no matter what happened, he would work together with the other two venerables. The three of them would work together to kill Ghost King Ao Tian. This way, the Ghost King sect would definitely be in chaos. At that time, the Blood Sea sect would be able to destroy the Ghost King sect and become the overlord of the Sky region. Chapter 296. Old Fatty and the other two's souls suddenly came back to life, giving the seven venerables a fright. They didn't know how long Ao did it. Not daring to be careless, the seven venerables attacked with all their strength. Although Old Fatty and the other two were on their side, they had betrayed them and attacked them fiercely. Either you die or I die. The seven venerables naturally understood this point, so they didn't hold back at all. They wanted to kill the three soul slaves directly. However, as the battle continued to escalate, the seven venerables' faces became more and more unsightly. The seven venerables discovered that the three soul slaves were simply unkillable souls. No matter how they attacked, the three soul slaves would stand up again and continue attacking the seven venerables in less than 3 seconds after being knocked down. Unkillable? Seeing that the three soul slaves were simply unkillable, the seven venerables were completely scared and panicked. Imagine, no matter how they attacked, they couldn't kill the three souls, but the three souls could attack them continuously. The souls could survive, but the seven venerables would die. Under this situation, the seven venerables would be the ones to lose in the end, not the three soul slaves. While the three soul slaves and seven venerables were fighting, Longao didn't stay idle. Things had already reached this point. If he didn't kill the seven venerables, the other two venerables of the Blood River sect wouldn't be drawn out. Longao's purpose in coming here was very simple. That was to take revenge and wipe out the Blood River sect. However, Longao knew that if he didn't kill the 3 venerables and the 10 venerables, he wouldn't be able to destroy the Blood River sect. Now that Guan Feng had appeared, there was only one way to draw out the remaining 2 venerables. That was to first kill the 10 venerables, then kill Guan Feng. He believed that at that time, the remaining 2 venerables of the Blood River sect would definitely appear. Longao and the 3 soul slaves attacked together. The 7 venerables who had the upper hand suddenly fell into a disadvantageous position. They were suppressed everywhere. Longao smashed his fists. He didn't care who the opponent was. He would smash whoever he saw. As long as he could smash them to death, he would complete the mission. At this moment, the 7 Great Exalted could be said to be completely depressed. Furthermore, they were extremely depressed. If it was a normal soul rebirth, then it would be one thing. They would not be afraid at all. At the very most, they could just kill their opponents again. However, the problem now was that old Fatty's 3 souls had not only been reborn, but their strength had also increased greatly. Moreover, they had an immortal body. As a result, the 7 venerables were entangled by the 3 soul slaves, which gave Longao the perfect opportunity. Longao, if you have the ability, then fight us fairly. Why do you have to resort to underhanded means? Hearing Chao Chang's words, the surrounding people all looked at him with disdain. They had seen shameless people before, but they had never seen someone as shameless as him. The shamelessness of the Blood Sea sect could be considered to be extremely high. With a cold snort, Longao fiercely punched out and said with disdain, "A fair fight?" He laughed in disdain and continued, "If it was a fair fight, the Blood Sea sect would not have sent out 10 venerables to deal with me. 10 against 1, your Blood Sea sect actually has the face to say that it was a fair fight. I really feel sad for the Blood Sea sect. While speaking, Longao instantly punched out more than 100 times. Each of his punches were extremely vicious. Hearing this, the 7 venerables' faces became even more gloomy. They could not even retort, because what Longao said was very true. The Blood Sea sect did not have a fair fight from the beginning, so they did not have the qualifications to criticize Longao. The Blood Sea sect, using numbers to bully the weak, shameless to the extreme. Such a sect actually has the face to talk about a fair fight. Truly shameless, disgusting to the extreme. Hearing Dugabai's words, Xia Jun immediately stood out and said, Blood Sea sect, you might as well change your name to Shameless sect. I've seen shameless people before, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. Blood Sea sect, you're so shameless. Do those dead ancestors of the Blood Sea sect know about it? One had to admit that Dugabai and Xia Jun's words were extremely vicious. Dugabai and Xia Jun's intention was very simple. They wanted to disturb the 7 venerables' minds and give Longao an opportunity to kill the 7 venerables. If it was a normal situation, Dugabai and Xia Jun would not be able to disturb the 7 venerables' minds. But the situation right now was different. The 7 venerables were tightly entangled by the 3 soul slaves. No matter how they attacked, they could not kill the 3 soul slaves. Not to mention the 7 venerables, no matter who it was, they would not be able to tolerate such a situation. Because of this, the 7 venerables' minds were in complete chaos. Dugabai Xia Jun, shut up. The Ghost King sect and the Sound of Thunder sect were in an alliance, so Dugabai and Xia Jun did not care about Guan Feng. Dugabai coldly said, Master Guan, the Blood Sea sect is the leader of the alliance, yet they are so shameless. I really feel sorry for you. Guan Feng's face was extremely gloomy. If it was not for Xia Feng and the Ghost King Ao Tian, he might have already attacked. Under normal circumstances, would Dugabai and Xia Jun dare to act like this? This debt, I will slowly settle it with you later. Anytime. But I still have to say one thing. The shamelessness of the Blood Sea sect is obvious to all of us. Such a sect does not have the qualifications to fight for Tianzhou. If I were you, I would leave as soon as possible. Staying here will only be a disgrace. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Guan Feng finally suppressed his impulsiveness. Ao Tian and Xia Feng did not say anything from the beginning to the end. It could be said that they silently agreed with what Dugabai and Xia Jun said. The more they agreed, the angrier Guan Feng became. The Conflagration sect and the Blood Sea sect were in an alliance. They would follow the Blood Sea sect's lead. The master of the Conflagration sect, Huasher, suddenly said coldly, Humph, whether the Blood Sea sect has the qualifications to fight for Tianzhou is not up to you. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. We will see who wins and who loses. But Longao must die today. Huateng was killed. Although there was no definite news, Huasher was certain that his son was killed by Longao. The hatred of his son's death was absolutely irreconcilable. Huasher had already decided that even if the Blood Sea sect decided to let Longao go today, he would not let him go. No matter what happened, Longao must die. Dugabai sneered. Disdain was written all over his face. He said mockingly, The Conflagration sect and the Blood Sea sect are jackals of the same lair. I have already seen your shamelessness. There is no need to say any more nonsense. What happened today will soon spread throughout Tianzhou. This is the 9 provinces. At this time, the battle on the martial arts training field had already reached a white-hot point. Longao, with the help of the 3 great soul slaves, pressed forward step by step and ruthlessly attacked the 7 great venerables. He simply did not give the 7 great venerables any chance to breathe. The 3 soul slaves were also quite ferocious. Coupled with their immortal bodies, they could stand up again after being knocked down and go back and forth. The 7 venerables were not willing to face the 3 soul slaves, but they were still firmly entangled and could not shake them off even if they wanted to. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.